top of the lineup still is, turning it on.
Well, and I think it couldn't have come at a better time for Lofton, who there was a lot of pressure because they just called up, the Royals did, Cam Devaney. And so there was, in my opinion, at least a little bit of pressure of, okay, you got to start producing now. And he's responded. I love, yeah, you're correct. The goatee goes, but the bat all of a sudden comes alive. Back-to-back nights, Jason, with multi-home runs at home for the Royals, because he and Cags both went yards, so you can tab that. Is that number 2 on the year now for the Royals?
Number 2 this year.
So they're at least trending in the correct direction. But this was one of those games where the top of the lineup didn't really get it done, but you found some guys towards the bottom who were struggling, who found ways. These are the games against bad teams that you have to win, and the Royals found a way. They scratched a runoff against Dennis Santana, who's been one of the stingiest, best relievers in all of baseball. People might not know because it's the Pirates, but he has been outstanding all season long. That, to me, was huge. I guess that's what it comes down to, is these are the games that in a 162-game stretch when the top of your lineup is going to struggle, can you find a way to win? The Royals found a way to win. Obviously, Seth Lugo doing what he did. The hanging breaking ball to Gonzalez was bad. The one to O'Neal Cruz, you just tip your cap. I mean, that one, you just say, wow, he went down and got it. But again, if you're looking to trade Lugo, that's a good sign. Zerpa, again, who's been very hit and miss all season long, had good stuff. That was nice to see. Again, Ursig, we can get to in a moment when we get to the negatives. But overall, this was a grinded out team victory that this Royals team had to have if they want to have any chance of still making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough to sweep a team, no matter who it is, even if it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. It'd be nice if you went back and were able to sweep the White Sox and the A's, bad baseball teams, but they weren't able to do that. And it was embarrassing the way that they played against those two teams. And so I guarantee you, if you could go back, you would settle for a one-run win over the White Sox and the A's, 6 games. Like, you're only beating this bad team by 1 run? Okay, it's still a win. Again, they don't ask you how, they ask you how many at the end of the season. And so they beat the Pirates by 1 run last night. Anybody mad or pissed off about that? Like, oh no, they should be beating Pirates 9-2 every night, 9-3. It shouldn't be this 4-3 win. Well, find a way to get a win. Okay, right now, that's any port in a storm for this team right now, that they need to find ways to win, to be able to continue to ascend and keep themselves in the conversation. They are now 4 games out of the wild card, so they've gained a game and a half in this stretch that they have played on the last wild card spot, and there are only 3 teams ahead of them now. They're 3.5 behind Texas, 3 behind Boston, and 4 behind Seattle. Seattle's in the last spot for the wild card. So they are slowly moving up while they're playing this particular brand of baseball, and they got the job done. It also makes it more fun when you're winning and Jack Caglianone's producing. You can see some of the fun stuff that's happening in the clubhouse. And last night, Jack Caglianone talking with the media, and we see this from time to time, that certain players and teams may give guys phrases that they want them to incorporate in their press conference. We had Travis Kelce in the take it easy roller coaster tycoon, and that was like, what the hell is he talking about? Well, we eventually found out that was trying to sneak in a phrase that, they had been doing. And obviously the Royals of the, 14, 15, 16, and sneaking in, those phrases and the numbers and trying to find any way, shape, or form to do that. Well, last night it seems Jack Caglianone was given that same objective. So let's listen to the conversation with the rookie Jack Caglianone, who clearly is not seasoned in talking with the media and finding a way to slowly, nonchalantly slip in this nice little phrase that he has been given, which it wasn't an easy phrase, but still execution was terrible on this. But let's take a listen to Jack Caglianone and what took place last night.
We're just trying to put sweat in the bathtub with this time of year, I'm sorry, I'm not. That one is. Yes.
I mean, that was like the worst possible execution.
I know.
It was so bad.
The best opportunity was right at the beginning.
I know.
To be like, man, just trying to grind it out.
That was unbelievable.
I mean, that was so bad. I respect the effort, but that was terrible.
I almost don't.
Right about that.
It was so bad. Like, it doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of things where you're like, when you hear it, you're like, I don't know that really made sense, but I guess I can see what they're trying to say, right? But that one was like, we're just winning games, just trying to, sweat in a bathtub.
I loved Vinny, who just
Yes.
cracked him the whole time, giving him a hard time.
Called him out.
But then at the very end, looks at Annie and goes, right about that, and starts laughing. I love that. Just right,
should.
right about that.
She should write about that. Yes. Like, when you're given, I wonder how quickly, like before the media got there, like he was told, hey, this is the phrase you need to use, sweat in a bathtub. So this is how you've got to use this phrase, figure it out. And then the media shows up and he's like, oh my God, now I don't know what to do. But if you sit back and think about it, if you had a little bit of time, you could find a way to say, we're just going through these games and every night, you've got to go out there and try to find a way to win, and you're working and working and working. And it's like, you work so hard, at the end of the day, even when you're taking a bath, I mean, you're still, perspiring. It's like sweating a bathtub. You're still doing that while you're trying to, cool down from that win. It's like nonstop, you know what I mean? And that's what right now it feels like. Boom, done. What he said, these at bats and games, it's like sweating a bathtub. And just stop. And then he just stopped and totally gave it away. It's like sweating a bathtub. Next question.
The stop really was the dead giveaway there, when everyone just looked around and you hear Curtis in the background start chuckling.
Yeah, and then who was it that was like, you looked at him and was like, really, this is one of those things, right? I don't know, I couldn't hear what was said, but it was like, this is one of those, and he goes, yeah. He couldn't even hide it. Yeah, like almost like a sheepish, like, yeah, I got caught. Yeah, that's what it was. And then you got Vinny making. It's fun when they're winning, right? It's fun when they're winning, and you can have some of these things. You don't get those when they're losing. You get no music in the clubhouse. You get sad, and we're just gonna, we got to come back tomorrow and try to figure it out. We're gonna get out of this thing. We're gonna keep working. What I love about it is the guys in here are working. Everybody's in here trying to do the same thing, and so we'll figure it out. We'll get it back tomorrow. Great thing about it is there's another game tomorrow that we can get back out here and try to work, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough right now. We don't hear that. You hear the music in the background. You get to make fun of the sweat in the bathtub. It's fun when they're winning. It makes it's the curse and the blessing of every single day having that game. So, look, man, it's like sweating a bathtub. You know what I mean? I'll tell you this here at the Tahoe this afternoon. If you're going to be taking a bath, you might be sweating in that bathtub because that sun is hot. So, yeah, there you go. They got the win. Let's talk about real quick about concerns, Sterling. Urseg. That just doesn't look like Urseg.
No.
I mean, we know what Urseg looks like. He couldn't find it last night. That didn't look like a guy that was like, you're not going to touch this. All right. When we've seen Steven Cruz go up there and just challenge guys, like, you're not going to touch this, man. I'm throwing 100, and it's got 14 inches of break. Like, good luck. And that's what we were seeing with Urseg last year. Like, he wasn't Wade Davis Cyborg, but damn, he was as close to Wade Davis Cyborg as we had seen since Wade Davis Cyborg last year. It was Urseg's on the mound. It's over. This game is done. You ain't scoring a run. You're probably not even getting a guy on base. And, man, it has been a struggle this year. And certainly it's a concern because while it's nice that Steven Cruz has developed the way that he has, but that is a nice sort of topping to go along with what you expected to have with Urseg and Estevez already. I don't know that Hunter Harvey will ever pitch in a Royals uniform again. I'm not going to count on Hunter Harvey being a part of this team at all. So having Cruz and whatever you would get from Zerpa, that was nice because the given was Lucas Urseg and Estevez, whether they're comfortable saves or not. But the given was Urseg and Estevez. And there's real concern from me for what we've seen from Urseg because it just doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same on the mound. And I don't know if he's still fighting something, still, dealing with a back, still dealing with something else. You overcompensate. Is Cole Reagan's on the IL because he was overcompensating for the groin and putting too much stress on his labrum, on his shoulder? Is that why he's now out with the, issue? Is Urseg doing other things because he's overcompensating for an injury and he shouldn't be pitching? Like, I don't know some of those things that are going on. But oftentimes when you see a pitcher struggle, the next couple days you go, oh, here's an IL stint. Okay, well, this is going on. I mean, we saw it a couple times with Urseg. We saw it with, or a couple times with Reagans, and we saw it with Urseg this year. It wouldn't be a surprise, Sterling, if before the All-Star break we hear that Urseg is going on the IL for something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He just does not look the same. I think the All-Star break will do him maybe more than anyone else on this entire roster, the most good to try and get right. He is, and he has to be the fireman. He has to be the guy the Royals go to. Yes, it's lovely that Steven Cruz is doing that, but I still would say that I would trust Ursig, and you're supposed to trust Ursig more than you were supposed to Estevez. Estevez is a really good closer, but he doesn't have the same swing and miss stuff that Ursig has. And you look at last year compared to this year. Last year, Lucas, 72 strikeouts in 61 innings. This year, 27 strikeouts in 34. He's just not been as dominant. Yes, the ERA still looks really good, but again, if you're not just box score watching, if you're actually watching the games, you'll see and understand that Lucas Ursig has not been the same guy that he once was last year. Again, though, I'm with you, Jason. I think this is more injury related, or at least injury lingering related than anything else. But once the All-Star break comes back, second half gets underway, and if he still looks like this in the second half, then I will have some pretty dire concerns.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just, limping to the All-Star break with Ursig, and I don't know. We'll see if they use him again. I mean, they've got 4 games left. He did not look good last night, and I know they said, well, he threw the wild pickoff attempt over to first, and maybe he was frustrated, and that was the walk. Well, I mean, come on. You're a professional pitcher. He's had some times where he's made mistakes. He couldn't find it last night. Yeah. I mean, when Brian Reynolds was up, and it was a 2-1 pitch, and it was a changeup that was like 5 feet out of the zone. I mean, it's not even close. Like, they call them non-competitive pitches now, which is a term that came about like 5 years ago. It's like not even that's a non-competitive pitch. Like, it was a non-competitive pitch. It was, and he's mad at himself because it wasn't even close. Like, if that was supposed to set up something else, it's not even you don't get anything out of it because it's so far out of the strike zone that Brian Reynolds doesn't have to worry about the speed or the location or the break on it, because as soon as it leaves his hand, you're like, well, I'm not swinging at that thing. That thing's way out of the zone. So he does not look like Ursig right now. Hopefully he can figure it out. If Cruz can continue rolling, Zerpa, like you said, it feels like it's hot and cold. Feels like it's more and more hot. It's hotter than colder than it was earlier in the year when it was colder than hotter. It's like here at Tahoe. It's cold and then hot. This morning seeing your breath, freezing cold, and now everybody's wearing Speedos and tank tops. It's odd. That's why.
How am I supposed to chip with that going on?
I'm not sure.
Doug.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Let's talk some college football on the other side. Soren Petro had a fantastic interview with Chris Kleiman. I want to play a couple clips from that. Scott Frost is really endearing himself to the Nebraska faithful, doing everything he can for GBR. And I think they're saying GFY to Scott Frost. And we'll hear from Ross Dillingham and some other things that took place at the Big 12 Media Days. And Brett Yormark, whew, man, I mean, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with his insecure questions he kept asking to the media members, but we'll get into that. Todd Liebel will join us at noon. Hopefully in the next hour, we'll be talking with Rob Riggle, hopefully around 11 o'clock. Michael Pena is going to join us sometime around then as well. Joe Buck in the noon hour. All of that is scheduled. We'll see who else can stop by. Todd Liebel at noon, Mick Schaefer 1 o'clock. We continue rolling along. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, the Drake. We are hanging out in Lake Tahoe. I am. Unfortunately, Sterling and the Drake are not out here in Lake Tahoe. Our coverage presented by Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, GAN Asphalt, and Concrete. Drake, why doesn't Chad ever bring you to Lake Tahoe?
That's a real good question. I don't know. I've never been.
Yeah, I mean, he's standing right here. Do you want me to ask him?
No, I would imagine it's because if I'm out there and something here breaks, there's no one to fix it.
That's right.
We
See,
have
that's the
interns.
problem, Drake. Yes, but that's the problem. That's what you have done. You've done this to yourself, Drake. You've made yourself so valuable that you can't leave Kansas City. That's why I'm sent to Tahoe. Nobody needs me back there.
That
Like,
is
who's the
very
least
true.
valuable person here?
That
Who's
is
the
mo-
least? If something were to break,
That is more
it's the
true than
last
you
person
realize.
we would go to. Who's the last person we would go to? You know what? Send Anderson to Tahoe. We'll figure out everything else out. Drake, you can't go anywhere. We don't even want you to go into Louisville or Wichita. You got to stay right here because when you're there, you're still here, Drake. Okay? You're
Yep.
here in spirit. Even when you're on vacation in Canada, you're still here. Or wherever. it
I
was, New
now
York.
I feel
Sorry.
bad. I should have invited Drake to the concert. I went to Incubus last night. I feel like
So did I.
Wait, you went last? I figured you would have
Yeah.
actually liked that.
It
You
was
went.
great.
Amazing, right? Morning View in its entirety. Before I love that album, so good. But I love when bands do that because you get to hear songs that you potentially will never hear because they wouldn't play those songs live. But when they play the entire album, you're gonna hear it. So I thought that was outstanding. Brandon Boyd sounded so much better now than he did 5 years ago.
I thought Manchester Orchestra sounded fantastic.
They did too. I've never been a massive listener of theirs. They're fine to me, but I thought Incubus was very, very good.
This is like the
Are you
fourth
more
time.
Manchester United or City?
Sure. This is like the fourth time I'd had tickets to see Incubus. They kept canceling shows in town.
This is my second time seeing them, and they were, I thought, phenomenal. I also thought Brandon Boyd looked a lot like Anthony Kiedis, the singer from Chili Peppers. I don't know if you noticed the mustache, the tattooed shirtless combo,
Yeah,
the hair.
No over muscles.
True, fair. You like this conversation,
Sterling, by
Jason?
the
Are
way-
you enjoying this, or?
No, I do. I think you missed a golden opportunity there when you said, I went to Incubus last night. I should have invited Drake. And Drake then says, oh, I went there as well. Sterling, you could have responded and go, oh, well, thanks for my invite, Drake.
Yeah, but
See, he could
we've
have
got-
turned it on him. Like,
and-
well, I should have invited Drake. Oh, you're not going to invite me?
I should have. In fairness,
man.
Drake has invited me to concerts before. Drake and I went to see.
Really?
We saw Dinosaur Jr. together. Yeah. Yeah, we've gone to.
Nice. That's cool.
Sorry,
Please?
Jason. All you have to do is ask. Wait, did you take that picture,
Well, I'm not-
Drake?
Yeah.
How close were you?
Close?
Why didn't you? Okay, now I am mad. You son of a.
Why didn't you invite
What?
me?
Dog, I was Jordan Love's seats. I was Jordan Love's mom's seats, okay? I was back.
I had a friend who had sat at really nice seats, and her sister bailed on her at the last minute, and she asked me if I wanted to go, and so I got to sit down close.
I am a jealous man. My friend is moving from Philly to Denver, and so he and a friend came through, stayed at our house, and we decided last minute to go. So you should have got
you know
his
what,
tickets,
Drake?
Drake.
It worked out well for you. See, Drake, Sterling didn't invite you, so you didn't then feel obligated to tell your friend, sorry, I've already got tickets.
Exactly.
And now you got better tickets and better seats. So thank
Exactly.
God. Sterling actually did you a favor.
Starlight,
Sterling did you a
Starlight
solid
is an
for the first
absolute
time.
treasure, by
Dude,
the way.
I love Starlight. Just a phenomenal venue. Incredible.
Yeah. This is where I will be totally honest with you. I feel like someone that's born 15 years ago that people are talking about Seinfeld. Because I am just music. You know that about me. You guys talk about music. I'll sit back and listen, and I know a good portion of the audience is loving it.
If you would have said, "Pardon
and I'm
me, I
listening,
didn't know,
and-
I didn't know much about Incubus," that would have been the best thing you could have said.
Is that right? Is that a reference to Incubus?
It's a lot like sweating a bathtub.
Which, by the way, shout out Drake. You gotta give what your version of. And Sterling, I'm gonna ask you next. So Drake, because I gave my version of what sweat in a bathtub would have been, and I do not like mine nearly as much as I like Drake's. So Drake, what would be your version of having to use sweat in a bathtub? if you were
Jack
Cagliari
just should have
last
said,
night?
I'm still getting used to Kansas City. It's so humid here. It's like sweating in a bathtub.
Beautiful. Easy to the point. That's great. Sterling, what would be your usage of sweat in a bathtub?
Yeah, it's like moss on a Mississippi stump. It's like sweat in a bathtub. It's it's just one of those situations that you got to go and try and fight through.
Okay.
Confuse
Yeah,
them
that
more.
works.
The more things you
that's-
say,
that's
just
true.
really confuse them, and then they
true.
gloss over the particular one that's dumb. Because they're all dumb.
Inspired by Drake's, mine would have been, well, up in the big leagues, as it gets hotter, like I feel like I play much better, baseball. I mean, I'm from Florida, where you sweat in a bathtub in Florida. So as it gets hotter, I feel like, my game should get better.
Well, it's like August in Kansas City. It's like two rats.
Oh, we know
and
about
a
that
wool
one,
sock.
Ichiro. We know about that one. Yes, we're aware of that one, Ichiro, as David Wells was talking about Ichiro yesterday. Let's hear from Chris Kleiman, who was talking with Seren Petro yesterday. And, again, a really interesting interview that Seren had with Chris Kleiman. Looking forward to hearing from Lance Leipold today, Jalen Daniels, and the other KU Jayhawks that are there. But Chris Kleiman weighing in on, we have this new enforcement wing that is with the group of, or Power 4, whatever, with this new NIL. And is there going to be trust that they're actually going to do anything of substance in college football when this thing is established?
I think if you're an administrator, you have to be confident in it, because that's the way that they're being.
You manage from
exactly
a view of success.
Yeah, the media, every media person I've talked to is not confident in it. All of us coaches are probably somewhere in between.
Okay.
We want to support and hope this is going to be done the right way, but we want to see it happen. I don't trust that it's just going to be not going back to the old days of somehow getting this guy $1 million under the table. I hope it doesn't happen, and if it does, I hope somebody gets caught on it. That's what's going to happen, and it can't be a mid-level team. It's got to be a blue blood that gets nailed on something that the fine, the repercussions are going to be significant. I don't know. Until that happens, I'm skeptical.
Sure.
Probably not as the athletic directors are they believe in it. They've been working on it forever. We just hear the outside,
right.
and you hear probably the third party stuff. So I hope it is, because it's the only way we're going to get this thing equitable.
It's interesting stuff from Chris Kleiman, because I don't trust that there's going to be any teeth to the enforcement arm of this. I mean, nobody trusts anybody else. And it's what I had been talking about. People are complaining about the NCAA enforcement staff, and, they're going to push the NCAA out, and they're going to create their own enforcement staff. Yeah, but the problem with that is you think you are doing it because it is out of the kindness of your heart. Like, you are being gracious and philanthropic in the money you're spending on certain players and really helping out a kid and creating generational wealth. And the other schools think you're cheating. And you think when the other school is doing that they are also cheating, that they are not doing it because it's for the best interest of the kid. And so when you don't trust your neighbor, you're going to create rules that then have to then discipline said neighbor, like an HOA. Well, I'm parking on the street because I need to, but you're parking on the street because you're just keeping your car there. Let's make a rule that you can't park on the street in the HOA. Okay, so then that starts happening. And so to Chris Kleiman's point, who trusts that anything is going to get done? And it's interesting that he brought up I hope it doesn't go back, or I don't trust that it's not going to go back to $1 million under the table. But I can't say for a fact that it's not. And if it does, then yeah, I hope somebody gets caught and they hit them hard with that. But it's got to be a blue blood. And that's exactly what I joked about when they brought this whole thing back. And I said, hey, we get back to the days of when you can funnel money through some churches, and you can give, here's $1 million there, and here's a $500,000 there, and we're going to, $50,000 there. It's all going to be under the table. We can return to that now that the salary cap is here and the NIL has to be absolutely legit and quote unquote fair market, which, is an ambiguous term, and, come up with what somebody thinks fair market is. When somebody's willing to pay somebody that money, then that should be fair market. You're worth as much money as somebody's willing to pay you in a fair market system, and so an open market system. And so Chris Kleiman bringing that up, it's clear that coaches are wondering if other schools are going to be giving the money under the table the way that it used to be, that you would have your suspicions about how this player got to that campus, and there's whispers about a certain amount of money, but nothing we can prove. But on the record, here's his NIL deal, and here's his salary cap deal.
So we are back exactly where we started, but now that's going to be more convoluted and complicated because some of it's going to be legal. It's, well, you know what? Honestly, for the players, it's a good welcome to the to an adult life of, it's like the IRS or when you have to pay taxes, and they're like, yeah, we know how much you owe. Okay, so you're going to give me a check and I'll pay it? No. Try and figure it out and send it to us. If you give us too little money, we're going to come after you. If you give us too much, sorry, too bad, pal. We're going to keep it. So welcome these college kids to the adult life. I don't care as long as Mizzou doesn't get caught and gets the players. So,
I mean, that's what it goes back to, right? Because it's like, well, no, well, we're not winning, but we're doing it the right way.
No,
we're not cheating.
I don't care.
We're right, and then you got the others that are like, well, you're cheating. Well, we're winning. Like, you really like, okay, that's great. What you think we're cheating, that's fine, but we're winning. That's the only reason. Yeah, but I'm fine with losing as long as we're not cheating. Okay, no, you're not.
You're telling me
You're
Mizzou
just telling
goes
yourself that.
5-7, or doing it the right way, or they can go 11-1 and make a college football playoff with a slight under the table strong ass offer. Yeah, give me the strong ass offer.
No. Because in today's day and age, I mean, I know what the legal, not legal, part of the rules and part of the bylaws, not part of the bylaws anymore. Like, okay, you're paying players.
Yes.
So back in the day, like we had a conversation, we were at a dinner last night and we were talking about, just reminiscing over like different coaches in college basketball and sports and football and over the years. And it was like, we got in a conversation about Quinn Snyder. And it's like, man, remember when he got in trouble for giving athletic apparel to his players? Like that's like you are cheating. You're giving them Nike gear. What a scumbag. What an absolute scumbag that you are giving these guys. Now, there might have been more stuff that was given, but whatever. But it was like, oh, my God, there's all of these things that are like they've got like jumpsuits and shoes and hats and shirts and pants and shorts and all this gear. Like, what a cheater, man. Totally cheating. I mean, like, remember, that was what we were talking about. Quinn Snyder, scum, cheater. That's the only way he's getting players is because he's giving them athletic apparel. Like, it's so stupid.
They all knew he was going to be a great NBA head coach. They just knew.
Yeah.
They just knew it.
Right, Yeah, he was going to get a kid that wasn't born at that time, and he was going to coach him in the Hawks with Trae Young. It's going to be great. That's exactly what was going to happen. And then Ricky Clemens and a lot of other things took place at that point. And then somebody watched Head of State and is good, but it's not good. So that was the biggest lie told out of that whole thing that took place with Quinn Snyder. But Bill Self is still at Kansas, so that's good. It's not like Missouri had a chance to do that. No big deal on that. So, yeah. At least Missouri baseball didn't have a chance to hire that old, College World Series winning baseball coach that played at Mizzou. Anyway, let's take a break because we're having fun out here at Lake Tahoe. Our coverage presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Hey, it ain't all roses and sunshine on the other side too, because KU had a chance to hire Jim Harbaugh. And they didn't do that. They did not hire Jim Harbaugh. They went a different route. So they had they hired somebody else. But they do have a good one. And Lance Leipold, and he'll be talking later today. We'll hear from Lance, if not during our show, then definitely during the program with Soren Petro. Let's take a time out. We'll come back, continue rolling. I want to hear a couple of other clips. Scott Frost, what he had to say about Nebraska. Ross Dillingham has a very virtuous sort of view of how he'll run his program, which sounds great to say in public. But how that actually works, we'll talk about that as well. Again, we're hoping to be talking to Rob Riggle at 11 o'clock, Michael Pena coming up about 11:25, 11:30, Todd Lebo at noon, Joe Buck around 12:30 or so, Mick Schaefer 1 o'clock, more zone rolling along in Lake Tahoe next. All right, man, if you're out there in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you've heard me talk about what was going on in my life with low testosterone. In fact, for the last 10 years or so, I had been wondering, I wonder what my testosterone level is. Like, I didn't know, but I was sort of curious, and I didn't know if, as you get older, and it's like, well, I'm not as motivated as I've been in the past, and, the gains in the gym aren't happening because, I'm not going to the gym. And so it's hard to put on, muscle when you're not actually working out. I realized that after I stopped working out. But Heartland Men's Health was there for me to go and check and see what the testosterone level is, and then sitting down and talking with them, and you find out that guys start losing 2 to 3% of their testosterone production every year in their early to mid 30s. That starts to accumulate gradually. It builds and builds and builds, and you don't feel like the same way you did in your 20s and 30s. It could be that you don't have those energy levels. Maybe you're not getting those gains in the gym. Maybe you're not wanting to go to the gym. You're not sleeping as well, not waking up feeling as refreshed. I had brain fog, didn't even know what it was because I couldn't figure it out because of the brain fog, not as productive at work. Some of those things take place with low testosterone. I went to Heartland Men's Health, scheduled a consult. They did the lab work, results, 30 minutes. I even got to play a game to guess what my testosterone level was. That was fun. I was way off. It was lower than I thought, which, good and bad. Good because I knew what it was, bad because it was that low, but then also then good again because of the testosterone replacement therapy. So a licensed medical provider will review your results with you, discuss your options, help you make the decision together with the medical team. Cost of the appointment is only $99, and that includes medical consult, T, and PSA test. That's an important one. And if you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, the visit is free. Heartland Men's Health, successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today, 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com.
played it a few years ago. It is the hardest golf course I've ever played, and they want it to be the hardest golf course they've ever played. Like Gil Hance, the great golf designer, came in and redid it, and the membership told him, do not make this easier. And it played, I think, a few strokes higher to par than it did the last time the U.S. Open was there in 2016 when Dustin Johnson won it. So I'm all in for this one thing.
Right.
That's one time, make them feel like we do.
I get it. I totally understand
and then
that
what,
part.
J.J. Spawn makes, what, a 40-footer?
Yes.
A 50-footer to win it? So
right.
good for him.
Which doesn't feel like we do.
Correct.
You know,
I think I've had one of those.
in your life. At Oakmont, congratulations.
Yeah, definitely not at Oakmont.
Congrats
for sure.
on that. Trey Wingo is our guest. So this is interesting because we've talked this offseason with the Chiefs losing the Super Bowl.
Right.
And there are kids. My niece celebrated her 1-year-old birthday, and she has no idea what it's like to see the Chiefs win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and
she's
so
one of the few.
It's a rough life for her. And so everybody else is spoiled, right?
Yeah.
But it sort of feels like the Chiefs get knocked down by the Eagles, and there's a whole lot of, okay, well, now it's time for everybody else to take the reins and take the
good
mantle.
luck with that. Let me just say that. Good luck
You
with
get that same sense that's sort of how the conversation has been this offseason?
Yes, look, it's the same thing with the Patriots, right? People were tired of them winning all the time, and they came up with all these reasons and excuses. And the bottom line was they were just better. And at the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs are just better than almost everybody else. And this whole ridiculously stupid narrative about the officiating crew helping them was the most obnoxiously dumb thing I've ever heard in my life. I did the research, okay, over the last 3 seasons. Do you know the team that had the most touchdown drives sustained by penalty in the entire NFL? It wasn't Kansas City. It was the Buffalo Bills.
I was going to guess Buffalo.
It was the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Okay? The Chiefs have already done things the Patriots didn't do. The Chiefs have been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. No team has ever done that. And after their loss to the Eagles, which, by the way, they just got run over because the offensive line and the defensive line were just better. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia was just better. People are like, well, they'll never be as good as the Patriots dynasty. Well, let's just pump the brakes here for a minute. You know what Tom Brady's record was in his first 5 Super Bowls?
3-2.
3-2. Mm-hmm. Okay? You know how many seasons it took Tom Brady and the Patriots to get to 5 Super Bowls?
13?
11.
11.
11.
That was 11 was going to be my first guess.
11.
So stupid.
Patrick Mahomes did it in 7 seasons as a starter. I'm not taking away. 2017 doesn't matter because he didn't play. He didn't play. All right? So in 7 seasons as a starter, that team's been to 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of them. So, and you're telling me that there's no chance they can match what the Patriots have done? Now, the bigger issue is how long Andy Reid's going to stick around. Mm-hmm. And, you know, obviously the best part about Tom's career was he had an unbelievable second act.
Yes. And
played till he was in his mid-40s. I firmly believe that that's what Patrick wants to do. The question is, how much longer will Andy be around? And I look, people kept looking for them to take a step back. They said that when Tyreek Hill left.
Yeah.
And they went on to win back-to-back Super Bowls. So you go ahead, count them out at your own peril. As long as they're healthy, this is the best receiving core he's ever had.
Agreed.
Ever had. With Rashee Rice coming back. Worthy was on the same trajectory last year as Rice. Now Hollywood Brown is back. Everybody bashed Kelsey last year. He still had 90-something catches. Now, he didn't have a ton of touchdowns. But, you know, in one game, in the Bengals game, they decided to throw a touchdown to Wanye Morris when Kelsey was wide open. Like, that happened, you know. I think Kelsey's going to be fine. They definitely have to be better on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And this kid out of Ohio State has got to be good. Moore has got to be good. Simmons, yes.
Yeah, but more from San Francisco, who they signed originally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They have to. These guys have to be good because they can't have, you know, obviously the move from Tooney to guard to left tackle was a desperation move, but it just shows you what a great player Joe Tooney is.
Right. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised they moved on from him. I understood why they did it because they wanted to make sure that they had Trey signed. But you know, they still have really good parts of that offensive line, and I just think if you're going to count them out, you're not looking realistically at the situation.
And I think the Trey Wingo's our guest, and I think you can make a case that even with, you know, Joe Tooney being gone, because as we look at specifically in the Super Bowl, Joe Tooney playing left tackle and Caliendo playing left guard, I think they are better at left guard and left tackle in week 1 than they were in the Super Bowl. Because Jalen Moore or Josh Simmons had better be a better left tackle than left guard undersized Joe Tooney.
Right. Like Tooney did an unbelievable job. Like people don't know how hard that was.
100%.
What he did.
I loved hearing from offensive linemen that are like, this is what he's doing. Like you hear from the guys that have done that. And
People
like,
go from tackle to guard. They don't go
Yeah.
from guard to tackle.
Right.
They don't go from guard to tackle.
Yeah.
Tooney's a unbelievable player.
Yes,
unbelievable player.
He is, and I'll miss him in Kansas City. Certainly, the press conferences left a lot to be desired. We called him Joe Tooney, because he was definitely from the Belichick
Patriot
world,
way. The
the
Patriot
way
No question.
of answering questions, which was great. But they drafted Kingsley in the second round last year to play left tackle. They move him now to left guard. He should be better than what Caliendo was. So in theory, on paper, you would hope that they are better at left guard and left tackle than they were in the Super Bowl. A lot depends on health. But the point that you were talking about earlier that I want to address, the second act, and I wonder how close we're coming up to the second or third act. Because when they traded Tyreek Hill, I called it version 2 of the Patrick Mahomes era.
That's
Not
fair.
necessarily second act, but version 2, because now it's no Tyreek. They were investing in younger players. He was making a lot of money. They had to figure that out. I wonder what the second act will be when Kelsey's gone. Chris Jones is not as dominant as he was a couple of years ago. When, the big three of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones are the big one, and fill in names here with somebody else.
Well, that's where you have to trust a guy like Brett Veach. And I think Brett Veach has proved himself to be trustworthy. Look, that 20 by the way, I just was watching Justin Reed play, and Justin Reed was a big part of that secondary for a lot of years. But, he was a perfect replacement for Tyrann Mathieu. So they've done this before. That 2022 draft has really kept them in it. Because you've got all those players for four or fee. Karlaftis, Williams, Watson, Pacheco, Leo Chenal, all those guys in one draft? That's how you sustain dynasties. Obviously, they're going to have a couple more drafts like that to keep it going. But I know that there are two GMs every year that absolutely kill the draft, and that's Howie Roseman and Brett Veach. And I'm going to trust Brett Veach to find the right solutions, because he's proven that to be the case. And one Super Bowl loss does not take that away from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and typically after a Super Bowl loss, Brett Veach has really invested heavily in whatever the issue was.
Correct.
In that Super Bowl loss, and he's done
No,
that.
they revamped the offensive line after the Super Bowl 55 loss.
Yeah,
And
that's when they got Creed and Trey, and they traded for Orlando Brown. Tooney. They tried to get Trent Williams. They spent an offseason trying to get Joe Tooney and Trent Williams. And they were close to getting Trent Williams. But
there's a couple of names out there that are still unsigned that I would not be surprised if by the last week in August or first week in September, some of them sign up with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's very much like what the Patriots were able to do.
Yeah.
They'll let you go when they think your price is too much, but they'll bring somebody back on pennies on the dollar, and that's how you sustain dynasties.
Yeah, and it's Trey Wingo's our guest. That 2022 draft is so vital because they traded Tyreek Hill and they get these resources. And I know people talk about, the process.
Juju's back too. And now
exactly.
He's going to have a limited role, but, when you have those other three guys, Juju's a fine option.
He was the number 1 wide receiver when they played the Eagles.
Correct.
Just a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl, and now he's the 4th or 5th wide receiver on this team, depending on what Jalen Royals may do. But that 2022 draft, the process in Philadelphia, people say, failure. And I think it was a failure in how they utilized resources. But gathering the resources, I don't hate the strategy.
No, not at
Trading Tyreek Hill to gather the resources, I like the strategy. You had, $30 million in a cap hit that you also can use elsewhere, plus those draft picks.
Yeah.
When you get McDuffie and Karlaftis and those guys, it makes the strategy look smart. It also helps that you have the resources, Trey, to trade ahead of the Buffalo Bills to get McDuffie, and they get Kyrie Elam.
Why do the Buffalo Bills keep trading? That's how they got Mahomes.
Right.
That's how they got McDuffie.
Yeah.
That's how they got Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the Bills and the phone rings and it's a Kansas City area code, hang up.
I'm not answering it.
Don't do it. What are you doing? Like, you are now hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You are now choosing to hurt yourself, is what you're doing. If you decide to talk with those guys on draft day, you are just inflicting self-damage.
Yes. Yeah. Trey Wingo is our guest. Patrick Mahomes, is he regressing?
No.
Is it?
I thought
weapons?
he played better last year than he's ever played.
Interesting. Why so?
Because there was nothing around him. I mean, like, what other quarterback is going to lose his top 2 wide receivers and his number 1 running back and still lose only one game that they were trying to win in the regular season? And people are like, oh, well, he threw this in. Okay, you're looking at stats. I'm looking at how the game is played. There were no options available to him at times. Some of the interceptions, like there was that San Francisco game where he threw 2 and I think Brock Purdy threw 3. Of those 5 interceptions in that game, only 1 was on the quarterback. All the other ones were on the receivers running the wrong route or a batted ball and all that kind of stuff. So, people look at stats and they don't watch the game. Though I think Patrick's greatest skill set has been his ability to say, okay, what I did in 2018 and 2019 is not available to me now.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to find other ways to make the offense function. All that being said, I expect them to be way more explosive this year because what they're doing this year is what they tried to do last year before Hollywood Brown got hurt in the preseason game against the Jags, before Rashee Rice blew out his knee in the win over the Chargers. So I think when you have Worthy and he's never had 2 young receivers at the peak of their power like Worthy and Rice.
Yeah.
He's never had 2 guys. Like even with Tyreek, it was Sammy Watkins or Byron Pringle. I mean, or DeMarcus Robinson. Fine players. They weren't Worthy or Rice status receivers. I think as long as the offensive line can be held up a little bit, you're going to see the deep ball this year from the Chiefs.
And I really want that to me is one of the more fascinating aspects of this season, Trey, is the last touchdown to Xavier Worthy that has been really broken down and talked about ad nauseum here in Kansas City since that, because it's one little morsel to go off of, but it's also, looking to a blast from the past. And it's also Mahomes taking that shot. It's 1st and 10. It was a change of possession. It was a turnover on downs from the Eagles. They have the ball at the 50-yard line, 1st and 10. Noah Gray is open for a 5-yard dump off. Nobody's within 10 yards. Hollywood Brown's running a 15-yard dig, and he's open.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy hadn't gotten to the 2 safeties yet.
Yeah.
And Mahomes threw it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that, 3 weeks before that, a month before that, he either dumps it off to Noah Gray or he hits Hollywood Brown.
Right.
And I wonder if that sort of triggered something in it's 1st and 10. Hollywood's there.
F it.
Bleep it, Tyreek down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Bleep it, Xavier's down there.
Listen,
I'm going to take that shot. And I hope he does that.
Well, listen, at that point, the game was obviously out of hand.
Absolutely.
Right? So it reminds me a little bit of there's this great clip of Eddie Lopez, who was Greg Maddox's personal catcher when he was with the Braves. And they were playing the Astros. And they were winning like 8-0 or whatever. And there were 2 men on base, and Jeff Bagwell.
Bagwell,
comes up.
yeah.
And they throw him away. Then Maddox says, I'm coming inside on him. So he comes inside on him, and Bagwell just hits a rocket over the left field wall for a 3-run homer. And Eddie Lopez was like, why did you do that? He goes, trust me, we're going to see that team again in the playoffs. So they see him again in the playoffs. It's a bases-loaded 2-out situation. And Bagwell comes up. He throws him 3 away, strikes out on 3 pitches, and he turns to Eddie Lopez and said, do you remember? He was looking for that inside pitch. I wasn't going to throw it to him. He was looking for it, and that's why I was able to work him outside. And Eddie was like, oh, my God, how do you remember that
2 months
stuff?
ago.
So in a strange way, it's very similar. All right, that game was lost, but what can I build on for next year to give Worthy a little more confidence? That play makes sense to me.
Quick ones for you. I know you got to go. Trey Wingo's our guest. The Steelers, any idea what they're trying to accomplish?
The 2025 Steelers would kill it in 2019.
Oh, they'd be so good.
I mean, like, I have – there's only one reason that you sign Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year deal, and it's you're desperate. Their last playoff win was against the Chiefs before they drafted Patrick Mahomes. That's how long the playoff drought has been. They just re-signed the GM, Omar Khan, to a 3-year contract extension. They have doubled down on Omar Khan. Mike Tomlin knows that he's in trouble. Yeah, they've got to win. There's no part of me that believes the Steelers are in a 1-year championship window. And if they do win it, congratulations. But you bring in Jalen Ramsey at this point, and you give up Minka Fitzpatrick. And for all that DK Metcalf has been promised, the best play of his career is chasing down Buda Baker on what would have been a pick six. He hasn't been great. So I think the Steelers have real issues. And I think that, since 1970, there have been 3 Steelers head coaches. We've had 6 popes since 1970. They do not change coaches lightly. But I think if something doesn't happen dramatically this year, they will change coaches.
Maybe the next pope comes from Pittsburgh.
Well, the last one's from Philadelphia, right?
Who knows?
Or it was
Chicago.
Chicago.
Big White Sox fan.
Chicago, yeah.
Big White Sox fan.
Someone has to be.
Trey Wingo, our guest. Trey, thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy Tahoe, and I really appreciate the visit.
You got it, man. And just everybody relax. The Chiefs are going to be fine. They're going to be fine. You got another 8-9 year window here. You're going to be fine.
Your words to God's ears, which is Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
And
So,
Andy Reid.
we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
So funny. I've got a friend who works as a scout for the Chiefs, and I said, "How did you get that worthy trade?" And he was like,
TV shows as well. You see him out here in Lake Tahoe. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Dude, I'm excited to be here, dude. I'm like, I can't wait to talk about getting asphalt.
Thank you. And concrete.
And concrete. I'm like, because it's an important part of everyday living, and I'm glad that they get their moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were talking about that before we even came on the show.
Yeah.
You were talking about parking lots and the things that have been going on.
Oh my
with you.
gosh, because we need parking lots. And by the way, the fact that this is a sports show and you got the actor Michael Pena here is like, it's interesting. You hit an all-time low.
No, we hit an all-time big. That's what we did. We got a guy that's finished top 20 a couple times, finished top 10 a couple of years ago. On my fantasy team last year, helped me win locally with the show. We do a fantasy thing with the American Century Championship, and I had you on my team. You could only draft it. Nobody else could draft you, so we had the draft picks.
Oh, wow.
And so you helped me win
That's
last
cool.
year.
Yeah, no,
so I appreciate it.
So this year I haven't been playing too much. Just,
okay, good to know.
So, for all the gamblers out there's a lot of gambling. For somebody like me to get into the top 10. Last time I played into the top 10, I'm like, I made so many birdies on the weekend. It was one of those weird – at first you think it's crazy that it's like, okay, it's just Saturday, right? It's one of those – and then on Sunday, I make more birdies. I think I made like 7 or 8. It was insane. And I birdied 17 and 18 to crack the top 10, which for me was such a big win. Because everyone was like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And then there was like the actor from Shooter, and then John Elway.
There's more than the actor from Shooter. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Michael Pena's our guest. I got to talk to you about Big Slick. In Kansas City, just a little bit ago, you were there.
I was there with my wife, man. It was so cool. It was for me the big thing was going to the hospital and
Children's Mercy Hospital.
All those and to see all those kids and how appreciative they were of all these celebrities from Kansas City doing right and getting together and some of them don't have hair and are very skinny and they're like, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, and with all of their heart just giving expressing their gratitude and the fact that they raise so much money so that their parents could be there, because I'm like, it can't be easy, and so for you to have to go through something that your kid is going through, like having a terminal sometimes disease and then not being able to afford it, and just the problems can just amount to like an astronomical amount, and it was just so rewarding. And then you get to see the Big Slick, right? You actually get to be a part of it, and I was just sitting on top just talking to Martin Starr a bunch, and a bunch of people that I haven't seen. Paul Rudd was there. I did a couple Ant-Mans with him, and it was. I'm going to go back, or we're going to go back every year. It's got to be in the books.
How did you get the invite this go around? How did that happen with you to get out there?
So I did a thing in South Carolina, and Rob Riggle was there. But I've known Rob for a long time. We played this thing called the Crew Cup, which is an amateur kind of Ryder Cup style thing. And it's a bunch of really, really great people in it. And so we've met there. We've met in the actor comedy circle. I haven't done a lot of comedies, but I'm like, he's in it. And he's just been always a great guy. And, we went to, we would go to dinner, blah, blah, blah. And he told me about Big Slick, and he's like, and it's interesting. Like, you hear about it, but then you actually go and it's completely different. It's like going to your first Super Bowl. You're just not ready for it. And there was some lows that you try to man up and try to bring some light into the building, and then that night you do the exact same thing. And so I can't wait for next year. It's going to be awesome.
Michael Pena is our guest. I was talking to this about this earlier today before you went out on your round, and man, you got me in Landman. You got me in.
That's what you get.
Yeah, I know,
That's
man.
what
I'm like,
you get.
look at this cast. Michael Pena's in it. If he's in it, I'm watching, and then nothing, and then
Nothing.
gone.
Yeah.
Second after the first episode,
Well,
the second episode,
here's
and I'm
the thing,
like,
for
what
those
the
of
heck?
you that haven't watched Landman,
You know what? Too bad. The embargo's over.
He just totally messed it up for everyone.
I mean, have you guys already filmed season 2? I mean, come on. I mean,
exactly.
I'm pretty sure the embargo of spoiler alerts have passed with Landman.
Exactly.
If you haven't seen it yet, that's your fault.
Yeah, but here's the genius, dude. Like, so I'm like, there was one. I only did it kind of as a favor because I
did a favor for Taylor the other day too.
I love him as a writer, and well, I don't know how much of a favor it is because I'm like I just think that he's a phenomenal writer. Like, you know, he really knows how to entertain, and he takes big swings and then he justifies it. It's just crazy what he's doing, right? So I read the script and I'm like, easy, yes, no big deal. He told me his idea where like it's going to be in one episode because it's the pilot, and no one's safe. He wanted to put that message across to the viewer, and I was like, yeah, okay, it's a great idea. He was absolutely correct. You know, all my friends were like, dude, what is going on with this? Like, I can't believe they did that, you know, and
there was some outrage of like, why would they do that to Michael?
I know,
why would they do that to him?
And he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And I'm like, there's not a lot of times where a writer intends to do something, you know, to create a splash, and he did.
Did you push back and like, well, maybe
not at all,
maybe later on in the season?
But when we were filming, I just had such an easy time working with that guy that I was like, wow, man, I wish I could film like some more, you know, because he said something that was pretty genius. He's like, dude, you can add whatever you want, just don't take out anything. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, I've never been told that. So
did you add much in as
yeah,
your character?
I mean, like, because he builds such a great world, right? And he's such a great writer that he writes in moments, right? And you know, when you rehearse, you think of like, oh man, I would love to say this, I would love to say that, and who knows if it's going to work out. And then on the day, you're like, oh, this is perfect for this one thing that I kept thinking of as I kept reading it. And he's totally receptive to it, but that doesn't happen unless he gives you the moments, you know. And Billy Bob Thornton is phenomenal in this show. You know, he's got moments and he improvs a lot, but he has a great springboard in his writing.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal show. I mean, there's so many different things that you've done. You know, we talk sports a lot, and in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, I know there are people like on the field are like, man, I'm watching Patrick Mahomes. I'm playing in the NFL, and I'm watching Patrick Mahomes do that.
Yeah.
Are there actors or entertainers that you're around that maybe not even in the middle of a scene or working with on a movie, a set, that you're like, man, that guy, what he's doing right there is just a level.
I did this. I remember there was like a bunch of people. Crash was one of them.
Oh yeah.
Because Crash, I was a nobody.
That's when people got to know you.
I was a touring musician at the time. With my band Nico Vega, and we still tour. We did Lollapalooza last year and a bunch of other music festivals, which was rad. And so that was the first time that I was like, you know, I saw like somebody like Don Cheadle, Sandra Bullock, Brendan Fraser, Matt Dillon, like, you know, I was overwhelmed by how good they were. And then another one was American Hustle. It was Amy Adams, Bradley Cooper, Christian Bale, and I remember seeing Christian Bale, and I was like, this guy's 1,000% in it. He's one of the greats, and I think he's, you know, him and Daniel Day-Lewis are some of the best male actors around. I think it's 1A, 1B with those guys.
Do you have to audition anymore?
I don't.
Well, let me ask you, when was the last audition? What was the last thing you auditioned for? It's a better question than just a yes or no.
End of Watch?
End of Watch, okay. That was a great one. You know, that was one of the, like, Crash, End of Watch, as it started to be like, okay, Michael Peña's in the movie, I'm watching it. If he's in this TV, I'm watching it. End of Watch was great. I mean, it was
End of Watch was really cool. It was one audition with Jake Gyllenhaal, and you know, we just had a blast. It was in a small office. And
so you guys auditioned together?
Yeah, well, he didn't have to audition, but I did.
Okay, so Jake had the part. They're trying to find the partner.
And then there was a bunch of people that came in.
I see.
And it was, I think it was between me and two other people, and it could have gone either way, to be honest with you. I think Jay Hernandez had strong consideration. He's a really good actor, and it could have gone to him just easily. It's just like they couldn't make up their minds, and I think there was one other person, and luckily it was me.
Do you like playing the FBI, CIA, police officer type
I do.
role?
I'm like, you know, I can't get away from it because, like, I love watching true crime.
Yeah.
And that really just grabs my attention. And so, like, you know, I always want to see them caught, but how they get caught, right? And so, you know, I watched, like, you know, since I was a kid, Forensic Files and stuff like that. You know, my parents put it on. It was like, you know, a lot of fun. And you know, my dad was in the Army back in the day, and my brother's a police officer. I was in JROTC, so it's like it was always around.
Yeah.
And I would just always had an affinity for it for some reason, and I love those movies. Like I remember Saving Private Ryan was out, the Band of Brothers, and A Thin Red Line, like all these movies that I just absolutely love. I remember Full Metal Jacket. I think I watched it like 100 times. Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
I watched a bunch, and those were just. I don't know why, but those movies really, really stuck with me, and I watched those probably more than anything.
With your background, Michael Pena's our guest, with your background and your dad and your brother and family being that, where did the acting come from? Like, where did that part of your life come from? Was it in the family in some way, shape, or form?
No. So what was really weird is that we lived in a very poor area in Chicago, right? And it kind of came out of necessity because a lot of my friends were getting unalived. I guess you could say, because of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, going out at night when they shouldn't. And, I lived across the street from a park that had 4 rival gangs on each side, and they would, you would get caught in the crossfires, right? And so my parents got cable, and this is the only time that they actually really encouraged us to watch as much TV as we wanted to. Better to watch TV than be outside.
Yeah.
Not during the day, but
Yeah.
at night. So come time 6 o'clock, in Chicago it gets kind of warm. I mean, kind of dark early. From 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, after we do our homework, we're just watching television. And so my brother would come home, and he was a great mimic, and he would tell me, what a teacher was like, and he went to prep school, and I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. And so we just, since we were kids, we were imitating each other, and imitating people on the TV on television set, and that's how it came about.
Yeah.
But
did you ever say, this is what I'm going to do for a career?
Never, because I was, I was a wrestler in high school, and
were you good?
And yeah, I mean, I went downstate twice.
Oh wow.
In Illinois, which was all right.
Nice.
And I never thought that I was going to be an actor, but the kids at the prep school would pay me to do imitations of some of the teachers. So, and I didn't know, but that was the beginning of my.
So that was your first paid gig.
Yeah, that was my first paid gig, and you know what? Like the turkey sandwiches at Marist High School were phenomenal. And so,
they paid you in turkey sandwiches,
and so I would start doing imitations at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
In between, and they would pay me a quarter, 50 cents or whatever, but that's kind of the way it started.
Wow. Michael Pena is our guest. When did it when did it change in terms of trying to make it in acting in Hollywood to then, whoa, I'm famous? Like, do you remember a whoa, I'm famous moment?
No. Well, I mean, it's weird to even think that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you are.
I do get surprised that people know who I am, because it didn't happen for me for so long, 15 years of struggling and struggling and struggling, and I think it's just the amount of work that I've done that people know my name, or they recognize me. So I'm it's still odd to me that they know who I am. So.
Yeah.
But I'm more grateful than anything.
Yeah, so there wasn't one sort of moment that's walking down the street, or do you remember a moment where it's hold it, that because you said it's kind of weird that people know who you are, but do you remember a moment where it was okay, I've been recognized now?
Now that you say that, I do remember. So I did an episode of CSI, and I do remember someone saying, "Dude, you were awesome in that," and I didn't. I was like, "Whoa, that's really cool." To me, I just wanted to not be bored. I'm like, I wanted to do something that excited me.
Yeah.
And which is still what I do. And I remember after Crash, when people on the street were saying, "Dude, you were awesome in Crash. What's your name, dude?" Like, Michael Payne. Cool, man. You were awesome. Somebody screeched. I said, "Dude, you made me cry." And that's the first time that I'm like, oh, wow. It's not just acting for me and being, in the sidelines and almost, just trying to, add to the story and carry the story and tell the story at times. It's now I'm being singled out. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Is that a sense of pride to where, I don't know, if it's when they have the big premieres in Crash with your character and there's tears and emotions, do you ever sit back and look around and see everybody crying from your character and your performance? And
at the premiere, during my scene, people were clapping, and that's when I was with my band at the time, and they said, "Dude, I think you're going to be an actor." I was like, "No, I worked on this for 3 or 4 days." And they said, "You're going to be an actor." I was like, "No." It's not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. They were right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get a ovation from everybody else that's watching it, that's that is. What's next for Michael Pena? What do you got working?
I did I finished a movie called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die with.
That's what we tell everybody before they go tee off here.
Gore Verbinski.
Yeah.
And Gore Verbinski did all the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice.
It's with Sam Rockwell, so that's going to be really cool. I did a mini series with Sarah Snook, who just won the Tony and the Emmy. So that's really, really cool. And then I just finished a movie. It's a Nick Stoller movie. He's so funny, this guy, Nick Stoller.
Yeah.
And it's a movie with Will Ferrell and Zac Efron. And so I'm going to do that. And then I'm doing an action movie with Chris Hemsworth later this year.
Nice.
So that's.
Do you have a preference? The drama, the comedy, the action?
No, it's funny. It's like it seems like I don't know. Drama is almost like having like a hamburger. You just want a hamburger. You can't, steak, something savory, really cool. And then comedy's like the dessert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or sometimes you're just really in the mood for something sweet, and you'll eat sweets for a couple days.
Yeah.
Maybe not you, but me.
No, unfortunately.
And so it's kind of like that. So I'm like,
great.
If you do too much of one thing, you want a taste of the other.
Do you have a sports fandom for you? Because we are a sports radio station, but I don't care about talking sports when I'm with you. But I want to talk sports.
Chicago
as well.
fan.
Okay.
I mean,
Bears, Bulls, White Sox, or Cubs?
Cubs.
Okay.
Blackhawks as well. In Chicago, they did something that was really cool for especially if you didn't have cash. They would give out tickets to the nosebleeds, and so if you see the nosebleeds, there was all the people that didn't have a lot of cash would watch it like a Blackhawks.
Wow.
So
That's
they
cool.
were so awesome. It was such a great city for sports, and they really cared about their fans, and they would stick us up, and you could win and see hockey, and then you became a lifelong fan of hockey.
Smart,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got our guy Luther Burden there with the Bears, wide receiver in the second round.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
Enjoy that.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We got Caleb Williams, and we got a lot of wide receivers. We lost one. I think he went back to the Chargers, Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of. I think the O-line, just like in Kansas City, like when you guys had an amazing offensive line, which allowed Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes. But if he's running for his life, he can't really really set his feet, can't really throw that well, and that guy's an athlete. Like out here, he hits like a sand wedge. 140 yards. You got to be kidding me. This guy's an athlete, man. He's got great hands, and he just hits it hard. He doesn't care.
Yeah, right. Just go for the pin.
God bless you. Somebody just sneezed.
Yes, Bethany.
Bethany just sneezed.
Yes, so she's made it. There you go. She's made it to the interview with Michael Pena.
I said, God bless you.
Yes, there you go. So, Michael, thank you. I've taken up way too much of your time. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. And best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Michael Pena joining us here. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, and the Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. That worked out well, thankfully. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. I don't know, Sterling. Depends on how you feel. But Rob Riggle, how about that? We had back-to-back big slicks. You know, it's such a big deal in Kansas City, and it just took place. And, you know, and hearing Michael Pena talk about it, like Rob Riggle obviously been a big part of Big Slick. Sterling, you've been able to be a part of it, and you get that, you know, access, and you get the behind-the-scenes stuff, and you see some of the work and everything that it takes to put that thing on and the emotions that go into it and the fundraising. And Rob Riggle saying, you know, it's almost like, you know, you see the number and you're overwhelmed, and then immediately you're like, oh, God, how do we beat this next year? Like, how are we supposed to top $4 million? Was it $4 million this year?
Oh, I have a picture somewhere. I got to look it up now. It was insane.
God,
just year after year after year,
Yeah.
the growth of it was 4.5.
Jeez Louise, man, 4.5. And so he's like, you see that number and you're overwhelmed with, oh, my gosh, we did that. How do we beat it next year? So it's just an amazing event that is put on by great Kansas City people. And Michael Pena, you know, he's worked with Paul Rudd. He's worked with Rob Riggle, right? It would make sense that he was, you know, he would be a part of Big Slick. But as he said, like, the most rewarding thing was going to Children's Mercy Hospital. Like, that to him, like, obviously being a part of the event and seeing that and seeing what took place. And it's interesting him saying, you know, you hear about it. Like, oh, really? You do? Like, people in Hollywood, like actors, you hear about Big Slick. But then to experience it, I thought was a really cool thing to hear from him, somebody in Hollywood, that he gets invited and he's like, yeah, I've heard about this. Let's go check it out. But for that guy to be like, you know what, the most rewarding thing was visiting the kids at the hospital, because they were so gracious and they were so excited, and, you know, to see you. And obviously, you know, if it's just like a little bit of time that you could spend with them to help their day because of what they're going through, I thought that was really cool, because ultimately we talk about the fun of Big Slick, but that's what it's about, and that's the $4.5 million going to Children's Mercy. And it's really awesome from that spot. So back-to-back Big Slicks there in this hour from Rob Riggle and Michael Pena. Enjoyed that a lot.
Tough to get. I mean, you think it'd be too oily or too slick, right? So much Big Slick, tough to grab, and you got both.
Is that what you went with?
You got great hands. You have great hands. It's Noah Gray.
Thank
You were
you.
reliable there. You came down with the
appreciate
football.
that.
Yeah.
No, that's nice. I appreciate you going that route, man. No, I you know what? That's great. It wasn't even me, though. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Chad's the one that secured it, and Rob Riggle then gave the assist. So it was like a lateral. Like, Chad caught it and then lateraled it to Rob Riggle, and then, you know, that's how we got, because those guys, you know, warming up here on the range
So
together.
you were
and then going
Kadarius
and
Toney,
playing,
but you weren't over the line. You lined up correctly. Congratulations. Nice.
Yeah, and now I'm hoping to have a corn dog soon. You know, if I can, that'd be great. It sounds good to eat here this afternoon. So yeah, good stuff from them. And look, I don't care if you haven't seen Landman. That's your own problem. If you haven't seen Landman yet, that's your issue. And I didn't spoil it for you, because you should have watched it by now. Okay, and it's a great plot twist in episode number 1. And yes, it has to do with Michael Pena's character, but a fantastic plot twist. And Taylor Sheridan, you know, has some great shows in Yellowstone and obviously Landman. And so good stuff there from Michael Pena. And just, by the way, him just name dropping, I'm like, you know, is there anybody that you've been around that you're just like, you know, watching them work while you're on the scene set with them? He's like, oh, you know, Billy Bob and Don Cheadle and Sandra Bullock and Matt Dillon and Brendan Fraser and, you know, Amy Adams and Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale and, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal. It's like, oh yeah, and you know, he's worked with all those different guys. So that was cool to hear. But one other thing that he said that I thought is awesome, because we take pride in it here in Kansas City, and we appreciate that we have people like this in Kansas City. When he said, you know, Paul and Rob and those guys and Jason obviously and Eric and you know, the Heidi now, you know, the whole group, and he said, you know, those are Kansas City guys that do that, and that little part of it was appreciated, you know, certainly by me, and I don't hopefully by everybody else, because Michael Pena and the others in Hollywood, they know where Paul Rudd and Jason Sudeikis and Rob Riggle are from. I mean, they rep this city with all of their heart. They, are out and open and up front and singing the praises and bringing attention to the area, whether it's through sports or through fundraising, bringing other people to the area, whether it's, through actors and entertainers and athletes and things like that, and getting Kansas City more, from flyover country to being well known out there, and great talent coming from Kansas City, and those guys, and Michael Pena saying, well, this Kansas City guys, just people know, right? They just know because they let people know. You don't just randomly find out that, oh, Paul Rudd's from Kansas City. Oh, I didn't know that. No, you know it, and Sudeikis and those guys, because they're out front and they want people to know they're from Kansas City. It's fantastic.
No, again, KC, it's the caring city almost, what it is now. And you're right. It's so cool when you talk to a lot of these celebrities, and they almost all say that this is one of their favorite weeks or weekends of the entire year for them. People who live in L.A. or New York, Chicago, these big cities, maybe, even out overseas, but they always love coming to KC and how much it actually means for them. The fact that it is, again, a lot of people might not know. People, if you're from Hollywood, you're saying it's flyover country. Then you get here and you go, it's not. This is a place where change happens, where it matters, and you can make an actual difference right here in our hometown, our backyard. And so I just find it so incredible, motivating, uplifting. You look out and you drive by all the time. You drive by Children's Mercy, and you're like, this is where change, this is where happiness, this is where you can actually make a difference. It's so cool just seeing the growth. I mean, I've been from year one until now, the difference of Big Slick going from where it started to now. It's insane.
How many people, if you can think back and maybe just guess as an estimate in your mind, how many people were there at the first Big Slick event? Because it wasn't held in a huge arena or anything like that. Do you have an estimate of just even the size of the room or something like that to put into perspective of year one to what we're watching now?
Yeah, I can't remember if it started at Uptown or Midland. I know at one point it was the Midland, but I can't remember if it started at the Uptown originally. I have a picture of a very young me and a very young Jason Sudeikis together, a picture of a very young me and a picture of a very young David Koechner out at the Little K. But yeah, I don't know exactly how many people, but I remember originally can we break 1 million? Can we try and get $1 million to help in all of this, and to where it is now? And it's just insane. Once they made that switch to Sprint Center / T-Mobile Arena, just the growth of it just immensely took off because
Daniels and Avery Johnson this year are perfect for Kansas and Kansas State. I don't think they would want to start over. Now listen, K-State took some lumps last year. They had Ohio State, but I don't think Ohio State could have plugged many quarterbacks in and maybe won a national title. Okay, that could have happened, but it's a chance for him. Now we get to watch this. I talked about Iowa State. Rocco Beck back, third year in the program now. Texas Tech has a guy who played all last year. He's going to play another year. They got a 5-star behind him. Is the 5-star going to come back and play through? I think if you ask a lot of coaches and you said, would you rather have a 5-star freshman or you'd rather have, who cares about stars, but an all-MAC quarterback who started for 3 years, I think most of them would tell you they'd rather have the talented player who they know about. But some of them might say, I'd rather have someone who's going to be in my program for 3 or 4 years. I just don't think there's a guarantee that someone's going to be in your program for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I think we have the anomalies right here at KU, K-State, Missouri, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And you know what? And even at K-State, it's like, they chose Avery Johnson over Will Howard. And I think it worked out for both sides. I mean, certainly it worked out for Ohio State. K-State now has a full year of Avery Johnson, under his belt as the guy, the starter, as he comes back here for K-State for another year. As opposed to if they had Will Howard, I don't know if they make the playoffs. If they win the Big 12, I have no idea if they win the Big 12 with Will Howard.
I don't think they
would. As opposed to Avery Johnson. So if they wouldn't have done it then, they're in a better shape now with Avery Johnson returning after a full year under his belt and having that experience. And certainly Ohio State is better off. They needed somebody to handle a $30 million roster, and he was the guy to do it. So
yeah, listen, Ohio State had really good players the year before. They all left, and they didn't want to be there anymore. The one kid went to Syracuse, some other guys transferred, all this stuff. So they needed to go find a veteran, and they went out and found a veteran who was perfect for their team. It's just, but it's constant now. It's just like your job. Like this year, Missouri's trying the other way. They got a guy who was at Penn State last year. We'll see if it worked out. He may not win the job. What if Sam Horn, who's stuck around, is better and healthy and wins the job? But that's when someone's going to come say, dude, why do we give this guy $1 million? What, he doesn't even play? What are you doing here? It's so complicated to be the coach. That's why these places are hiring GMs now. And like Chris Kleiman, quite honestly, he told Serena he doesn't want to know a lot of these things. That's not going to work for a lot of places. Some people here's the deal. I asked Travis Goff this. He's going to be on with Serena, but I asked him off the air. I said, how does this rev share work? Are you going to have 85 guys and then they all get 1/85th of whatever? He said, no. The big players will get the big chunks of that money. So, in my opinion, the big players are the big offensive linemen, quarterback, wide receiver. They're already getting the NIL money, and now they're going to get a bigger share of the other one. So try your best to not have everyone who are 18 years old say, how much money you getting? When they're going to know. But it's just one more thing to talk about.
And I have no idea how, and maybe it was Chris Kleiman that said this. I can't remember. I listened to so much stuff yesterday and on with Seren, and you guys did a fantastic job there. But was it a $30 million roster last year all of a sudden now is going to be a $20 million roster? Or it's going to be like you're going to go from one year to the next? Where's that money going? And if you've got the same players, everybody taking a pay cut on that? So, what are we doing here? And how are we able to sort of
a year
fit
or
this
so to sort it out?
Yeah.
Because everyone signed their deals before July 1. So it's going to take a while for that. Right now, it is the golden age to get paid for college players. I mean, the absolute golden age. If you're in college the last 3 years, you got to hit early. You got to get this, the deal's coming. So you better get paid early like this year. And now you're going to get the deal. So it's the best thing ever. It may not last like this forever, but right now it's perfect for these guys.
You think maybe Scott Frost should have only answered questions about NIL and the college football playoff?
That was like off podium. He gets in all this trouble.
Yeah, it was
but
to the Athletic
social media.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was specifically to
podium,
the Athletic that he talked to. Yeah, so I was trying to find it, and when I saw the quote that it said he told the Athletic, I'm like, okay, so that was probably just off to the side along those lines about don't take the wrong job, and I wanted to leave for a place you could win a national championship, and I didn't want to go, and I got pulled there, by ex-teammates and everything, and it's funny, the whole time he was there, he was talking about it being Mike Riley's fault why they were struggling. and now he leaves and he heads to UCF, and apparently it was never his fault while he was there either. So it's interesting.
Short memory.
I don't know.
Short memory.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody, and maybe there's an obvious one, I don't know if there's somebody that was beloved at a university or a franchise that so quickly had an entire fan base turn on you to where you were beloved to then hated. And people have just said good riddance and they don't want you back. Because I think that's what the feeling is for Scott Frost now, who was clearly beloved and winning a huge number of games, and Tom Osborne in the glory days of Nebraska football, and then, coming back, the prodigal son returning after, going undefeated with UCF, and that time to be at Nebraska, we're back, we're going to return. And since then, it's been about, excuses, tired of Scott Frost, he leaves, okay, fine, he moved on. Now it's everybody else's fault. Okay, you know what, bleep you, go away, I'm done with you totally. And that's, that's why sometimes it ain't the best deal to go back to your alma mater or be the manager of the team that you're in the Hall of Fame with.
That's exactly right. You're going to go there and taint your memory that you had. So, listen, he didn't go to Nebraska thinking it was going to be as bad as it was, but it was. He's part of it. There's no question he's part of it. Like, he was the coach. Okay? But it doesn't take much to get under the Nebraska people's skin. And that tweet got her going quick, I promise you that. There'll be plenty about that. Hey, let's maybe they'll both make a bowl game. Let's get them in the bowl game.
Y'all,
oh, please.
Y'all, which fan base is more delusional? Indiana basketball or Nebraska football?
It's pretty close right now. Yeah. Yes is the answer.
The answer is yes. That is a yes for me. I would say at least I feel like Indiana basketball could be a couple of players in NIL away from making a tournament and making a run.
They say that every year, though. Every year.
I know, but I'm saying in basketball, I feel
it only
like
takes two guys,
it's
right?
a quicker opportunity, whereas in football in the Big Ten, that's a good call. The right guys. Okay, Sterling. Takes two of the right guys to be able to do that.
Two lottery picks won't get it done? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 top 5 picks. Apparently that's not good enough. I don't know. It's weird. But I think it takes a whole lot more when you have to stack recruiting class on recruiting class and transfers, and you got to balance the money and all of that stuff. And it's still, while money matters, certainly it's still really cool to go to, Oregon. And, Penn State's doing what they're doing right now. And obviously Ohio State and Michigan. And those are the teams that they're going to be competing against to try to make the playoff, as opposed, heck, win 18 games and you might be in the basketball, you might be in the tournament once they expand. So I think if a fan base thinks they're going to get back to the prominence they once had, I would say Nebraska probably more, because it's a tougher road to get there as opposed to college basketball. That would be my answer.
It's not easy for either, but hey, listen, here's the deal. It's hard in all these things in football. And even though there's 12 spots to get in the playoff, these leagues are so huge now. It's just a different deal. And there hasn't been a lot of realignment talk down here, which is good, because it's always talk.
Yeah.
But probably when this thing's over, there'll be more realignment talk. It's how it always works. The second the media day is over, so-and-so's moving out of here. But, that's how it is. But
absolutely.
Anyway, it's been fun down here. There'll be a preview today. I know this much.
Yes.
We had K-State yesterday, KU Day today. Jalen Daniels is definitely going to be on with Sarin. Lance Leipold is definitely going to be on with Sarin. And Travis Goff is definitely going to be on with Sarin. Nice. And I know I chatted with Shehan Jayaraja, and he's coming over. So we'll have lots of Big 12 and college athletic stuff for you here today on the program starting at 2.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing all of that. Todd, great stuff as always, brother. Appreciate it. Safe travels back to KC, man.
All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, Sterling.
Oh, wait, why me? I'm excited to see you tomorrow, Lebo.
Todd, just come to Tahoe. Come to Tahoe, Todd. Just come on over to Tahoe.
No, I'm going home.
Yes.
I'm not going.
Lebo,
to
Todd,
is it
you're the
because
man,
you
buddy.
missed me?
There you
is
go.
that why?
No, nobody does.
I miss everybody.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Todd, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. All right, there's Todd Lebo. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll talk with Joe Buck on the other side of the break. More Zone next. All right. Thank you, sir.
Let's do it.
You are ready to go?
I'm always ready to go. You
I know
kidding
you
me?
are. I know you are.
Pass the mic and start the show.
There we go. That's what they say.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2, and 1. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out in Lake Tahoe, American Century Championship. Our coverage presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Joining us now is Mike the Miz here in Lake Tahoe. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'll tell you what's going on. You're in the shade, and I'm in the sun.
I don't
Literally,
know.
I sat down and I went, wow, look at him.
Yeah.
He's putting all his guests in the beating sun. I'm getting burnt while you're in the beautiful shade. We are literally, if you saw this, we are literally 3 feet apart.
Yeah.
There's one spot that's
Right.
shade
Yeah.
and one spot that is sun.
Yeah.
He put me in the sun.
This is
That's what I'm feeling
This
right
is
now.
Field of Dreams, and these are the rocks.
You have-
okay. If you pass this, then you go back to being
You got the
Moonlight
spot.
Graham as the doctor.
You got
know?
the spot.
Yeah, I didn't do this on purpose. I did not do this on purpose. This
Okay.
was done to
You
me.
could have done this setup so much differently. You
Yeah.
could have put this table and you could have put it into the shade,
Yeah.
but you decided, I want my guests to sweat.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know,
You wanna hit
you're
the
in the hot
hard-hitting
seat now.
questions.
You're in the hot
I
seat
like
now.
it.
You got to answer the questions
Let's
here.
do it.
Come on, let's do it, man. Let's answer these questions.
First question.
How's the golf game?
Golf game's doing well. I started a YouTube channel
Yes.
because of the American Century Championship and how
Really?
much passion I have for it. I love this tournament. Every year, it's the thing that I mark on my calendar that I just absolutely look forward to. This is I'm competitive. I like to be competitive. I have not been competitive in this tournament in 3 years. I was looking at my scores, and let me tell you, my scores went from a -60, and that might sound good. It's not. You're supposed to be in the positives. Like Marty Fish got an 83, a plus 83, and I got a -60. That's how far apart we are. And then my second year, I got a -56, and third year, I got a -50. Each time, there's 91 people in there. The first time, I got 83rd place, then I got 90th place, and then I got 83rd place. So, yeah, those are my places that I've been. But I started a YouTube channel. I started getting coached by really great coaches. George Gangus out in Westlake Village is incredible. James Ledbetter, his sister is actually playing in the tournament.
Yeah,
and
Hallie.
he's caddying for her, not for me.
Nice.
Which I'm a
Okay.
little upset.
That's
because
interesting. Yeah.
I have one of my buddies
Whoa.
caddying for me, and
Yeah.
she's got a pro like James Ledbetter. So,
Right.
so yeah, like I've been training with them. And I feel like my game has gotten better. My score hasn't shown that, but I feel like my knowledge, my IQ of the game has gotten better. And I was just putting over there, and I was sinking everything. The problem is, 3 holes in, I'm par, birdie, par. Then I get like an 8 or a 12 or a 15 because I'll hit it in the water. Then I'll be like, all right, I got to take a 3. So then I come back to the shot, and then I got to take a 5 because I hit it. I overcorrect myself.
Right.
That's just what I do.
That competitive part, I have a feeling that anything you do, it's going to be to where I want to be better at this in Lake Tahoe. So I'm going to start this YouTube channel so I can perform better, improve, be better at the golf game so I can have better results there in Tahoe. Like, it doesn't feel like there might be anything in your life that's just like, you know what, I'm just going to go with the flow on this.
I'm a big believer in do what you love. What do you love to do? Obviously, you love being on the radio.
And
You love
sitting
to
in the
talk.
shade.
You love sitting in the shade and asking questions.
Yes.
That's what you love to do. What I love to do is I like to perform in front of a live audience.
The Miz is our guest. Take me back to when you first got into wrestling to now. How much is your sort of knowledge and ability in the ring, ability out here on the course, but ability in the ring different as a wrestler, as a WWE superstar from when you first got there and you were learning the ropes, no pun intended?
Man, I'll tell you what. I thought I knew everything when I walked in the door of WWE. You walk in, you think you're confident, you're bravado. I was 25 years old. I got signed to WWE, and I was like, oh, my God, I made it. And then I learned I was like a sponge. I was trying to take everything in, but I also felt like not necessarily that I knew everything, but you don't realize what you don't know until I'm sitting here 22, 23 years later, and I'm like, I felt like I was amazing back then, and now I realize how terrible I was. And not necessarily terrible, but like just things that I could have done better, and I wish I had my brain to that 25-year-old because I can only imagine what I'd be like now if I had that brain back then. So people always ask me, what do you regret? I don't regret anything because I learned as much as I possibly could in the time allotted for me. I'm a big believer in put everything forth, like everything you possibly can. I don't care if I'm sitting here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm giving you my best interview I possibly can because when I go back and look back on my life, I'm not going to go, I should have tried harder there. I did my best. Possibly I could. I practiced. I worked at it. I allotted myself. Even as a husband and as a father, you try to be the best you possibly can at that as well. So those are the things that I try to maneuver. So looking back, to answer your question, I didn't know anything. I really didn't. But I thought I did.
Is that something that's natural for you? That it's I'm going to do the best thing that I've done. Is that always been your life? That's
yes,
okay.
that mentality. But natural for me, I wasn't good at sports. Like everyone's like, oh, you must have been really good at sports. No, like I was average. I was okay, but I worked harder than everybody. I was the captain of the team, not because I was the best on the team, but because I was. I guess you could say I was a good leader, right? I lead by example. If I'm the hardest worker there, it elevates everybody else. And so that's kind of been my mentality my entire life. Even in WWE, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, but for some reason, a 6'1", 200-pound, kid from Parma, Ohio, got to become a WWE superstar who is now the first ever two-time Grand Slam champion in the history of WWE. And that said something because it's not John Cena, it's not Hulk Hogan. It's not Andre the Giant. It's not Shawn Michaels. It's The Miz. It's the first ever two-time Grand Slam champion in the history of WWE. So, I wouldn't say I'm the most athletic. I wouldn't say I'm the most talented, but I work hard. I'm a very hard worker. So what I lack in talent, I make up for in hard work.
Did you know that, some people I think just have sort of a personality and a persona and a sort of an aura around them that you look at and go, that guy's going to be successful, right? Did you have a feeling that, like, in your life, whatever it was, like I'm probably going to be known in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in entertainment, you were on The Real World, now, in WWE. Was there, because of your personality, it just seems natural that wherever you go, it's a natural energy around you to entertain. Is that something you just, as you grew up, it's like, this is what's going to be the future for me?
So when I was a kid, I was always drawn to the camera, right? I was a big ham for the camera. I loved anytime there was a camera, like my dad had the VHS camera out, I was performing in front of it. So I always loved to perform. Did I ever think that I would be on TV? No, because when you grow up from Parma, Ohio, you go to high school. After high school, you go to college. After college, you go back to Parma. You get a family, you get a job, and that's what you do for the rest of your life. That's what's supposed to be done. At least that was my mentality, right? That's what I felt like a lot of my friends and I were that was our mentality. So once I got on The Real World, it made me realize I didn't have to do that anymore. And so I didn't think I would get on The Real World, but it was weird. So before I was on The Real World, not many people know this, I was on a show called Census Acts of Spring Break. For college, my buddies and I went to Cancun, and I saw that MTV Spring Break was going to be there. And I said, I'm going to go try out. All my buddies said, we're going to go to the beach. I went to Fat Tuesdays and literally walked in and did an audition. And my audition was sitting at a table just like this. I was in the sun. They were in the shade. And they asked me, what would you do to be on TV? I go, what do you want me to do? And they go, well, would you eat a ton of really, really hot peppers? I go, yeah. I go, how are you with peppers? I go, not good, but I'll do it. And so there was four contestants, right? One guy got his tongue – no, a girl got his tongue pierced. A guy got his tongue pierced. A girl showed her upper portion of her body.
Yeah.
And
Shoulder, collarbone.
I ate peppers, hot peppers. And let me tell you, when I ate those peppers, I stuffed them in my face. Juices were running down my body as I was doing, and it was burning not just my mouth, but my entire body. Like I had red marks all over me. Who do you think won that competition? The young lady.
Yeah, I was going to say
the young
lady.
sweetheart of a lady won. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, but I was on TV, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So then that August, I was sitting in my what's it called, my dorm or my fraternity, Theta Chi represent, and
Delta Chi, let's fight. I'm
there we
joking.
go.
We're not going to fight.
So I went in there and I saw on TV that I was watching Real World New Orleans, and they had on there, hey, try out for the Real World. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. I tried out for Senseless Acts of Spring Break. Why couldn't I try out for the Real World? Tried out for the Real World. Back then, 60 to 80,000 people try out. Everyone would say, what's going to stand you out? Well, all my friends were like, I'm not. Why would you try out? We love the show, but you're not going to make it. I said, why not?
Yeah.
What do I have to lose?
Right.
So I tried out and made it.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to be a WWE superstar. After I was off the Real World, everyone was like, why would you do that? You're not going to make it. It's like, I'm
if you didn't make it on the MTV in Cancun, would you be at WWE?
No.
Because you wouldn't have done
no.
you wouldn't have done the Real World. It's just like, I'm not going to make it. Or
well, I would have done the Real World. Yes, I would have tried out for the Real. If I didn't make it on the Real World, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people got to know you, and that's when the persona came about. The Miz.
Yes.
Was it created?
Yes.
In the Real World.
Yes.
There on that season.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I was uncomfortable in my setting. I'm usually a guy that I don't make good first impressions. Because I'm a lot. I know now. I'm 44 years old. I'm 44 years old, right?
Okay,
I know myself now. You know, when you're 20s, 30s, you're getting to know yourself. You don't understand when you walk into a room. You're too much.
100%. Yeah.
I am too much. I know I'm too much. So now I've been able to still be myself, but know hey, you're making a first impression here. Might want to tone it back a little bit so people can understand you first, and then get to know you, and then do it.
Yeah.
So I tend to be a lot. I forgot the question. Sorry.
No, it's just we were
talking
talking
tangents.
No, we were you creating the Miz there.
I
in
was
Real
very
World.
uncomfortable. So I made a bad first impression on everybody, on my entire cast. Usually, I'm able to make friends.
Yeah.
I was not able to make friends on the Real World. I made enemies, I guess you could say, and people hated me, and I was uncomfortable. I was out of my comfort zone. I was in New York City. I've never been to New York City, and anyone that's never been to New York City, come from Parma, Ohio. It's an eye-opening experience, and you're not used to it. And I have cameras following me around every second of my life, 24/7. Not comfortable there. So everything was just coming to fruition, and I said, enough. I'm sick of this. And I just started cutting promos on people. And I would call it The Miz. And so the Mike wouldn't get repercussions. The Miz would.
It was so
but then they liked the Miz more than they liked Mike.
Yeah.
They'd always ask me to do the Miz, do the Miz, do the Miz, do the Miz. So that's how the Miz was created.
It's so great, man. I watched that season as it was happening. I mean, I was a huge Real World fan because back in the day, that was 2001, so I was 21 years old, and it was like, man, I want to be on the Real World so bad. I tried out for the Real World in Lawrence, and I can't remember which season it was, but I remember being there. There was 6 of us at this table, and we were trying out, and they were just asking us different questions.
Yep, I did that same thing.
Yeah, and one of the girls had mentioned that at a party she broke a coffee table because she was doing a strip dance on it. The rest of us left. She was kept for the next round.
Do you want to hear another story?
I was like, oh, dang it. Why didn't I say that?
So I sent in a video, right? And I made it to the next round where you had to fill out a 50-page application. So I filled out the 50-page application, and once I did that, my buddies started seeing I was making it. And so one of my buddies hey, there's a audition in Detroit. Will you drive up there with me and audition with me? I go, yeah. So we went up to Detroit. Got there around, I would say, 11 p.m., waited in line until 9 a.m. when it opened.
Wow.
Probably got in there about noon, and we did the exact same thing. 6 people at a table. Me and my buddy were there. I was telling stories. He didn't really say much. And then afterwards, the lady was like, hey, can you stay back? I just have to ask you a question. I was like, sure. Stayed back. I had to fill out that same 50-page application again.
Did they say
because,
that?
but I made it.
They said, we just need to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
To the girl, like
Yeah.
just one quick question.
Yeah.
No, you guys can go, and then they'll let you know what's next. That line was so long. We were in this huge. It was like back and forth and back and
thousands.
forth. I mean, we waited 3 or 4 hours to sit there for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And that was it. I'm like, well, that was dumb.
It was an experience, right? It wasn't dumb for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. Who knows? It could have been The Miz. No, not going to happen at all. But I do want to talk to you about something that I'm pumped about, and that is American Gladiators coming back, because I saw that and I'm like, okay, one, thank God. Two, how perfect it is for The Miz to be hosting American Gladiators.
Oh, thank you.
How did that come about? How did this opportunity and bringing back and reprising this, what I think is an American classic TV
So I was a
show?
huge fan of American Gladiators growing up. Like, big fan. I think my role models, my heroes were WWE superstars and American Gladiators, right? I mean, they're just larger than life. They're big characters. And so I just fell in love with the game. So my agent called me up and said, hey, you got a big meeting. And I go, with who? And they go, MGM and Prime. And I go, okay, what's it on? And he goes, American Gladiators. I go, I'm getting this one. And he goes, okay, yeah, all right. Because he sends me on a bunch of meetings, right? Okay, he goes, look, there's like 10 people like in it, like go doing these interviews. You just need to impress them. I go, don't you worry about that. Like I'm such a big fan of American Gladiators. I went to the live shows back in the 90s, right? Like, so I went to what was Gund Arena. It's Rocket Mortgage now, but I went to those shows. I saw them. My dad brought me to them. I still remember watching Atmosphere, thinking, my hamster is just gonna. I mean, that looking like guys look like hamsters, right?
Is this guy get past Nitro or not?
I go into this meeting, and I'm telling you, there's probably like 7 people in this meeting, and I'm just talking to them like. In my goal, I almost was talking to him like, how can we make this what it was back then for the kids nowadays? Like, how are you going to do that? I was asking them questions that I don't think other people were asking, because I was so passionate. I wanted this to succeed, whether I was hosting it or not, because I just loved American Gladiators, like WWE and American Gladiators. Like, those were my 2 things. And now I'm doing them.
Yeah.
Like, and so I got out of the meeting. My agent called me, goes, I don't know what you did, but that went really well. I go, well, how do you know? He goes, they called me literally right after. And we're like, we got to take a couple more meetings, but man, that was good. And then I got the call saying I was going to be the host of American Gladiators. And I was like, okay. So talking to the showrunner, Daniel Kalin, who, let me tell you something, I've dealt with showrunners, and I've had many great showrunners and knew as children. But he also, and not just him, honestly, it was MGM, it was Prime Video, and it was the entire team of writers and producers. They got the nostalgia right. They picked the Gladiators. The casting was so well done. Like, you look at our Gladiators, they hit. I mean, I just got done filming.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we just filmed all the episodes.
Do we know when it starts?
I don't know.
Oh,
like,
man,
that's the one thing.
I
Everyone's like, when's it start? I go, I don't know. But we filmed it, and it is special.
I can't wait.
I can't tell you how special it truly is. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking to you about it, because the way the Gladiators hit, they hit harder than any Gladiator I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's just because I was there up front and personal and got to see it live, but man, do they hit hard. And the contenders, the stories they have are unbelievable. Like, this is life-changing money for them. Like, it's when you say blood, sweat, and tears, that is what they are giving to try to win American Gladiators and be that American Gladiator champion. And so we have new games, but we also have the old games. And so, you know, we brought the old with the new, the nostalgia that you love, but also we upped the ante, right? We made it, like, this set is so gorgeous. And so, man, everything about it, I'm ecstatic for people to see it and watch it and love it. And I can't wait. And it's going to be on Amazon Prime Video, and I can't wait for people to see it.
I'm pumped about it. The Miz is our guest. Do you and John Cena actually get along out of the ring, or does this thing continue?
John's one of those people that taught me everything.
Yeah,
taught me so much.
While the rivalry was going on?
While the rivalry was going on, he was unbelievable at teaching me how to become a main event superstar. Like, I was talking to you before about how when I was younger, you know, I was like, oh, like I knew everything. John taught me that I didn't know everything. That when I was in the ring, he knows exactly how to get an audience to do what he needs them to do. When do they need to do it? So he taught me how to be a conductor in the ring.
Wow.
and know what to do when something is happening. When the crowd is dead silent, what do you do? So now I know exactly what I need to do. I can feel an audience. He taught me how to feel an audience and hear an audience. And he'd always be like, "Do you hear him?" And I go, "Yeah, man, I hear him." Like, I hear him. And he's like, "You're not listening. You're not listening to the crowd." And I'm like, "Dude, I am listening. I hear them telling me I suck. I hear them chanting that. I get it." And he's like, "You're just not listening." And then it took me a while, but then it started getting it. Him, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, like they've all, like I've been so fortunate to learn from them. And now I hope to make our new generation learn, because they don't get to wrestle with them anymore. John, this is the last time we're going to see him in the ring. They don't get to learn from John Cena. So I have to teach everything that John Cena taught me. And Randy Orton's still here, but Triple H no longer, Shawn Michaels no longer, Undertaker no longer. Like, these are all guys that I've gotten to work with.
Wow.
I've had stories with. I've gotten to be inside a ring and have the knowledge that they have bestowed upon me. And now it's my gift or whatever, I guess my gift to give to the younger generation because they can't get in the ring. Shawn Michaels can talk to them.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between being in the ring with Shawn Michaels by Shawn Michaels.
Was there a moment where you were at the beginning, you're like, what am I doing? Oh, my God.
I couldn't believe it.
I'm here in the ring. Was there an event, an opponent that was like, what am I?
Every time I step into a ring,
wow.
I have that. Even right now, every time I step into the ring, I get that moment. I don't care who I'm going up against. I cherish all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. You have to.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to do what I get to do.
Yeah.
So if you're not loving what you're doing, get out, because someone else that loves it, that truly loves it, is going to do it.
The Miz, our guest, you're the man. I appreciate it. Love seeing you out here every year.
Thank you so much. And hey, how about American Century putting on
Yes.
a hell of a show?
Yeah.
I mean, this entire week is absolutely incredible between NBC Sports, American Century. Bravo.
Yeah.
Like, this is, if you're not here, like, watch it on TV, you're going to see how fun it truly is. And sometimes that's what I feel like is missing in golf. And that's why I have my YouTube channel, Ms. Golf.
Ms. Golf.
To bring some fun life into it.
It all comes full circle.
It all comes
That's
full
the
circle.
callback. That's great.
And Edgewood, what a golf course.
It's fantastic. An American Century, great Kansas City company.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. Miz, you're awesome, man. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Good
Appreciate
luck.
You. No need for luck when you're this good. Marty Fisher coming after you.
There's the Miz here on Sports Radio 810. More Zone right after this. My son, big fan as well. So can we get a picture?
Yeah. So I would get a picture with you guys, but my temperature's too high because it's in the sun. Because I had to sit my ass in the sun.
I'm gonna really make my son. My son doesn't give a shit if I'm out here, talking to different people, but now I'm really gonna.
Let's go. Thanks, guys. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right. All right. Oh, well. Is there any way to have Sheffield when we're done? If not, no big. Yeah, if not, no big deal. Last I remember, Sheffield wasn't all that great, if I remember right. If we had him after Tappan, I would take him. But if not, I'm okay to skip, because we taped Trey Wingo, and now Miss. We're +2 for tomorrow, and then I think we'll get Justin Reed when he's done. got some beautiful people around us here. And then,
Joe Buck
and,
is
get some
gorgeous.
other-
It was better
He's,
when
yes.
you weren't here because I could just see myself in the mirror. At least that was nice.
Who do you see, Sterling, when you look in the mirror?
Miles Teller.
Yeah, Miles Teller.
I was going to say, because I know what we see when we look at you. Who do you see?
Last year
when
at
you
this
look in the
time,
mirror?
though, you were just staring straight at Miles Teller. There was no mirror involved.
Correct.
No.
And so you look forlorn because that's not happening
you know what?
again.
No, I went to Incubus last night. I went to a good.
Inconceivable.
It was a great concert.
Oh, okay.
They played Morning View in its entirety. Drake was there as well. We had a fun time.
Yeah.
Not together though. He didn't want to hang out with me. He had
You
better
know
seats.
old bands, but you don't know old movies.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
I don't give a hoot about old movies really.
No hoots.
Sorry.
Do you give a holler about him?
One of these
Hoot
days,
nor
I'll watch
holler.
those movies. One of those days.
Yeah, it was. You know what? It was a year ago tonight that Sterling had his infamous night with Miles Teller and David Wells and The Miz and T.J. Oshie playing
Miz was
baseball,
there,
beer
too?
pong.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
He summoned the next
Yeah.
morning and was like, surprised you're up this early. It's like, no, I bounced back. Come on, it's business now.
Yeah.
It's work.
Did you cut a
he's
promo
the-
right in front of him?
He's
grab
the
a mic?
Miz, dude.
Yes.
I mean, you kidding me? He's the Miz. He's always on, Sterling. He's never off. I mean, it's a. Does he sleep? You know, if we talk to him this over the next couple of days, I'm going to ask him, do you sleep? You know,
I've
ever? I
seen
bet he does.
him on some of those TikTok golf videos. Is he a stick? Is he a good player? Do we
No,
know?
he is not. He's very bad.
Yeah.
He
Not
typically
great.
finishes near the bottom. There's like 90-something people in this. He always finishes in the 80s.
Okay.
And I think last year he was a minus 60.
Normally good in golf.
Normally, but
Yeah.
in this
No, you wanna be
scoring
plus.
format,
I think
bad.
plus 80. I think plus 80 was the winning score.
Wow.
So roughly
don't draft
140
him?
points away.
Okay.
No, don't draft him.
Are we doing
Which,
a
by the way,
draft today, guys?
I completely forgot to put that together. Like
Oh,
typically
my
we do that on Wednesday. That we do the draft on Wednesday for.
I know I
Now
won
I'm
last
looking
year.
forlorn. I'm looking forlorn.
Yeah.
Credit to me
I'm-
for winning big last year.
God, weird how you remember
Big.
that. Man.
Well, that's fine. I told Michael Pena in the 11 o'clock hour that I won because I had him on my team. So
Well, you're a liar.
Credit to me for taking credit for winning last year's fantasy.
Credit to you for lying.
I didn't lose, though, so I guess I won. Right?
You didn't get last.
There's 3 winners. Did I lose or did I win?
You could
Those
tell
are
me
the only
you
choices.
passed any place I finished, and I would believe.
I did think
Dylan
you
ended
got
up
last.
losing.
What are you?
No, Dylan.
Was it
Dylan
Dylan?
lost, right? Yeah, Dylan.
Well, he's
ended up
not here to
losing.
defend himself, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure Dylan ended up losing. But it's a pass-fail in ZOUs. You either don't lose or you win. And if you don't finish last, you win. So I won.
Take that,
Sorry,
Sterling.
Sterling.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
I guess.
So I definitely won
Yeah.
the fantasy golf last year. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll maybe try to figure it out for tomorrow. You know, and do that since it starts on Friday. I don't know. I botched this whole thing. This whole thing has been botched. All right, I botched it, and I don't know what to do. It's really, you know, there's so much stuff going on. There's people around here. They're golfing. It's the driving range, and then we went to a dinner last night, and then I'm watching the Royals, and Todd's down in Dallas, and I'm listening to Big 12 coaches talk and stuff. There's just so much going on, and just sometimes you get overwhelmed with work that you forget about work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened here, Mick, and you know about that. You know
I
those
also
things.
lead an incredibly busy life. I've been listening to Big 12 coaches, also learning a few of their names. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's there. Also remembering, oh, yeah, they're in the Big 12 now. And then watching the Royals and exciting stuff,
See?
walk-off stuff, Nick Lofton stuff, and Cag stuff. Did you see the post-game interview with Caglione?
Dude, it was so great. Can we play that real quick? Because I want to talk some Royals with you.
Sweat in a
Mick.
bathtub?
Yeah, can we play that, Drake? And then we'll give our stupid, my dumb one, Sterling's dumb one, Drake's really smart one, and we'll see what Mick would have said to incorporate that into an answer. But here's Jack Caglione last night.
I like that you've enhanced the audio there because I hadn't heard the other conversations with Annie and Vinny, I believe. There, she knew right away. She knew right away. I love it because I do Sportscast Bingo. I have a handful of friends who will text me at 9:30 at night and say, "Hey, can I get a word in?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go."
I know I'm not a friend, but could I also text you and do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's
so,
got to be PG.
Yes.
And it's got to be English because people have snuck in a couple Spanish cuss words on me that I didn't know.
Oh gosh.
So
yeah,
there's a couple
that's
rules
no bueno.
there. Yes.
That's not fun. I said no bueno, by the way. You're welcome. Right. What I would have done for the sweat in a bathtub isn't as good as what Drake's is. Neither is Sterling's as good as what Drake's is. But mine would have been, well, we're out here, we're working hard every single night to try to get these wins, and it's we're doing everything we can. And look, the work never stops. It's like you work out, you take a bath. Sometimes there's even sweat in the bathtub. That's how hard you're working. That's what we're doing to try to get this thing back on track. It was okay. Drake, yours?
I just thought he should have said, I'm still getting used to how humid it is here in Kansas City. It's like sweating in a bathtub. It would
Sterling?
make sense.
I said, it's like moss on a Mississippi tree stump. It's like sweat in a bathtub. You just got to get over it. And so I would just almost confuse them, say a whole bunch of random things, and so then they don't focus on the one I was supposed to say.
You know what? And Sterling, that's a good point because they would have just thought, I guess that's a saying. That's just what people say down in the South. He's from Florida. It must be a thing.
He says that all the time.
Yes. Mick, how do you answer that?
I would have been, hey, that pitch was part sweeper, part slurve. Back where I come from, they called it sweat in a bathtub. Regardless, I was kind of ready for it and was able to time it out just perfectly.
Where I come from, they call that pitch sweat in a bathtub.
Where are you from, Jack?
He had a Tampa hat on, I think, last night, upside down.
We're working. Look, this is, or it could have been, my secondary one, inspired by Drake's one, was, I think that, the bat's coming around because the temperature's heating up, and I'm from Florida, man, and it's hot down there. I mean, you can sweat in a bathtub in Florida. So, I mean, this is the time when I think we're really going to start playing good baseball. But that was inspired by Drake, so it's not the one that I would have gone with. I probably wouldn't have gone with, we're just working hard. It's like sweat in a bathtub.
The other night, I got in Savage Pina Colada in the show.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I got it in.
How'd you get it in?
It was something to the effect of Royals taking the lead. They're looking for the sweet taste of victory. It's like a pina colada taste, and then I think they lost at the end. Like, it's like a Savage Pina Colada.
Nice job.
And there's reasons why. Yeah, I was told those three words together. But I've yet to. I don't think I've failed on those.
Well done. That was a good setup too. Because
highlights are the easiest place to kind of sneak him in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Sweating about.
I mean, you got to. I mean, there's a lot of guys that do the whole sportscasts on that. You know what I mean?
Yes. I've seen a guy before that every word he started was planned out and in order each day. It was like the lyrics to Pink Floyd's The Wall or something like that, right? And so he then edited those 30 days or whatever together real quick, and it was that word together. I'm like, you know what? That is a dedicated / bored individual right there.
Yeah, good for him.
Which is good for him. Sort of the same thing. Sometimes you can be dedicated and bored. Sometimes it's synonymous with each other. Lefko on TNT and NBC when we worked together back in the day, he would do the sportscasts and he would do like rap lyrics. Or one sportscast he did like 30 different wrestling, superstars that he mixed in, and then that ended up getting him like a job. Gosh, I think he worked with Bleacher Report. Like he left the local news in Louisville and went to work for Bleacher Report, and now he's moved his way up to being, Adam Lefko on TNT with Shaq and those guys. But yeah, that video went viral, and then he got a job. So Mick, there you go. Just do one of those, and then start hosting NBA Tonight.
Maybe
on
I
Thursdays.
used to do that stuff all the time. And
I know.
It got me nowhere. It got me here.
I know. It's got to be the right thing. It's the right thing that just happens to go viral. And it's like, wow, this one went viral. Others didn't. It's interesting why this one did.
I used to do that cutesy.
Did go viral.
I used to do that cutesy BS all the time, and it didn't work out.
That's true.
Then
now
he's bored.
Yeah.
Oh, it used to be dedicated. Now he's bored.
Now he's at a Super Bowl or an NBA or whatever game, sitting with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, Lefko, answer my phone call, dude.
won't
Thanks,
do it.
man. That's appreciate it, man. I saw him at the Super Bowl, and we, shot the breeze for a while. We're talking to him. I'm like, hey, man. Remember, you used to come on my show like weekly when I first moved back to KC.
He doesn't.
He does.
Oh,
when we see
James
each other in person,
Anderson. I remember James.
James Anderson, yeah. It happens. You know what? It happens. He's a big deal. That's all it is. But Jack Caglione hopefully turns out to be a big deal. That was a big one, and it was. It was a good game for Jack. It was a good game for the non-top 4 in the lineup because those guys have been carrying the
6
offense,
and 7,
and you
pretty
have.
good.
Yeah, you've got Jack Caglione that hits the home run, Nick Lofton with 3 RBIs and back-to-back nights with a home run, but also in the 9th inning, Cags could have hit into a double play.
Situational hitting. God, we don't see that from this team.
He could have hit into a double play. He could have struck out.
God, that was
Instead,
great.
he moved the runner.
And they celebrated in that dugout almost as much as they celebrated his home run. It was great. It's like two things you haven't seen from this club the whole year. Situational hitting and home runs. They're doing them here recently, lately.
Yeah. They haven't had a game this year in which they had multi-home runs in one game at home, and now they've had 2.
Back-to-back.
They've had 2 back-to-back. I mean, when will it ever stop?
That, by the way,
don't know.
that stat is diabolical. There's no...
Oh, right.
Because even Ryan on the broadcast tonight, we had to check this several times. And I thought I heard it wrong at first. I'm like, there's no way.
That's the first time they've hit
Since
2
August?
home runs in one game at home? Like, the next closest is 8.
He's like,
The
not
next
one
clo- the
guy.
20
Not one guy. The entire team.
No. Because Sam McDowell's tweet was there have been 88 players that have a multi-home run game in their home park this year. The Royals, for the first time, have just 2 different players
On
hit a home
average,
run in one
3
game.
per team. And none have been the Royals' entire team.
Entire team together. It is hard to do that. It would be really hard to do that, but they've got back-to-back, and that was big. Nick Lofton, back-to-back nights, has hit the ball really hard. Jack with the easy swing to generate 114 off the bat. That natural power. And Mick, I do think it has to do with Nick Lofton shaving his goatee.
Let's go.
People are tired of the goatee, and the baseball gods were telling him it's not goatee time anymore. All right, it's time for you to shave this off, and he did. And they're like, okay, now let's play. Now let's play. Let's play ball. This whole time you've been up in the big leagues and down in the minors. This goatee, you shaved it. Now look, ready to play.
Yeah, it wasn't situational hitting. It wasn't on base. It wasn't getting
Nope.
guys over. Runners in scoring position. Any other stat.
Nope.
It wasn't
Nothing.
what this bullpen was doing or Q pulling starters early. It was that facial hair.
Yep, he should have been playing for the Yankees this whole time. And many people are wondering if Nick Lofton is a freshly shaved Hall of Famer.
He is a.
Many people are asking the question.
He does look like a different human being with that.
He does, literally.
And it's good that he's,
Even at the
he's
plate.
swinging the bat like a different human being.
Yes,
really
he
appreciate
Have
it.
we
really
checked?
looks like
Is
a
it
different-
actually a different human being? Have
Yeah.
we?
I have not
checked.
checked. No, I haven't done any sort of.
He's wearing a shaved Nick Lofton
bodily
face over his own
check.
face.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But this would be a great time to kind of put a little run together to kind of go into the All-Star break with a little jolt, and maybe you're, knocking on the door of 500. Maybe you're at 500, right, going into that All-Star break, and you're in the middle of 15 straight games against the National League. And so, you kind of get out of, the norm and teams that know you, and you can,
Break the norm, some
Break
would
the
say.
norm. You could spread your wings and fly like a peacock.
Yeah, it's a big 4 games. I mean, what they've done so far in the 6-2 stretch is great. They've gone from 5.5 out of the wild card to now being 4 games out of the wild card. They've passed or at least tied with a couple of teams, so they're no longer having to pass.
They're in second in the
6 teams.
Central. I don't know how that's possible. How are they second in the Central?
Right.
Is everybody but the Tigers just blowing up?
It's just ridiculous, man. But they now only have to pass 3 teams instead of 6 teams to make the wild card. That's a big deal, and that's been over the last week. But these next 4 games are so crucial.
Win
with Pittsburgh
tonight. You should win tonight.
Yeah,
win tonight, and then see what you can do
take
against
2
the
of 3.
Mets. You can.
I mean, take 2 of 3 from the Mets, and then go into the All-Star break, because then this is the analogy I used yesterday on the show, Mick, after the Monday night game for the Royals, and it was I used a football field to describe where I'm at. So the east end zone is buying. Like, you are buying, you are going for it, and you're going to be selling off
You're going
prospects.
east-west on your football field?
Yeah.
No, you go north,
so I'm looking at it
south.
from the 50-yard line. I'm looking at it from the
Football fields,
50-yard
for the
line.
most part, go north-south.
He thinks he's Dexter McCluster right now. He's going east-west. He's not getting up,
Now, Oklahoma
upfield.
State's field is east-west, but like 90% of football fields go north-south.
But I'm
you
just
ever
saying-
heard
let's
the
just say-
running, the running
let's
back,
say
he runs
right, left.
north-south. They don't say east-west.
They're going, let's say right, left then.
Okay.
Right, left. The
Right,
right
left.
side, if you're looking at it from the press box
Southwest,
at the 50-yard line.
northeast.
Yes.
We're going diagonal
that's
now.
kind of what Arrowhead is.
We're going so northeast and southwest. That's where we're heading. So your northeast, so the right end zone, if you're in the press box, is your buyers. You are absolutely buying. The left end zone, as I used west earlier, is you're absolutely selling and you're terrible and you're as many pieces you can. 50-yard line is you're in a strict holding pattern of trying to figure things out. What I had said yesterday was this recent stretch of baseball to me took the Chiefs from what I thought they were at their own 35 of being close to selling and not really holding to then they picked up a first down. And now they're like at the 44, 45-yard line, and they're getting close to a hold, but they're not buyers yet. And the next 4 or 5 games at that time, that was before last night. So now the next 4 games, they finish this off and go 3-1 the rest of the way. I think they're either at the 50 or on the plus side at maybe the 45-yard line and leaning more towards buying than even in a holding pattern.
I said Patrick drops back. He's under duress. He rolls right. He throws the ball up deep down the field. And
East.
is it Tyreek Hill down there or is it MVS down there? These
Nobody
last
knows.
4 games, is it going to be the Tyreek Hill versus the Ravens on that 4th down and he comes down with it and the Chiefs / Royals in this scenario are buyers if they go 4-0? Or is it MVS down there? It's a great throw. We think it's going to happen. And then they bleep the bet against the Mets.
It's the Eagles.
And I would say in the American League, there's like 10 teams between the 40s, right? It seems like there you got you know 3 in the east end zone and 2 in the west or the right and the left,
right or
and
left,
then everybody
left,
else is kind of in the middle of the field, the right or left there.
Yeah.
You got the A's.
where
the
would you
White
put 'em
Sox.
right now?
Is it stage left or stage right?
I would put them at the 42, at their own 42.
Their own 42 or their own plus 42?
Their own 42.
They're on 42.
But
So they're
it's
8
first-
yards away from a real solid hold.
It's early third quarter though, boys. Right? It's early third quarter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Plenty of
it's,
time
but
to
it
not
all-
across the 50, but get to that end zone.
Well, I think
don't think
it's
it's
like
that.
mid 4th. I think it's mid 4th if you've got to be buyer or seller because
That's
that's
true
the,
if you're taking it to the
it's 3 weeks.
the deadline.
The July 31st trade
there's
deadline.
I think there's teams now. I mean, 6 teams out of 15 make the playoffs, and it's baseball to where even the best teams lose a third of the time. I mean, that's going to be like this every year. I think just bunched up, and there's going to be this gray area of buyers and sellers. There's going to be teams doing both, and there's going to be teams not knowing what to do until like the midnight hour. And so I think this is kind of the new norm, and I'm fine with that. I mean,
and teams that may look at it and say, "Can we take advantage? We weren't planning on selling, but now can we take advantage of this market? That there's some desperate teams out there that kind of force our hand. That maybe we do sell." When we're not selling because we're not thinking that we can't make the playoffs, but we're selling because we think this can help us maybe win a World Series if we make this move.
Like Sterling and I, we were talking the other day when you left the show and we had to swoop in and save the day. We were talking about like if the Royals sold Seth Lugo, that doesn't mean they've given up on this season. You know, Reagans comes back. You got Noah Cameron. You kind of fill that spot right in, and you can still make a playoff run and maybe and still bolster your future in the process.
They signed Dallas Keuchel today to a minor league deal.
I saw that.
So they've got a couple 40-year-olds in their AAA rotation.
He's not 40
Dick
yet,
Mountain
is
and
he?
Dallas Keuchel.
He's not Rich,
I mean, it
Rich
seems
Hill
like he's
age,
40.
is he? No.
Who?
I'm going to guess he's
who?
like Dallas Keuchel.
No, how old? I know that name, but you said a different name.
Rich Hill.
Who?
Dick Mountain, sorry.
There, thank you.
He's
Yeah,
like,
thank you. Okay,
he's
so
like,
that's okay.
thank
Now,
you.
I didn't know
He's
who you were talking
45,
about.
right?
37 is Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Well, their
been
combined
good
age is
in
40.
a long time.
I mean,
average age.
Listen, he was in
is
fourth grade when Dick Mountain was a senior, okay? So different generation
that's
almost.
interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. But here's my theory on this is so they've got Rich Hill there, ready to come up if need be, and now they're getting Dallas Keuchel up to speed, ready to come up if need be, because they need guys to pitch when they trade Seth Lugo.
Yeah.
They need veteran guys like Alec Marsh, not ready. Kyle Wright, not ready. Reagan's mid-August. Like who's actually starting if they trade Seth Lugo in that spot when you've already got Noah Cameron filling in for Cole Reagans in that spot. So if you trade Seth Lugo, who's coming up? Well, Rich Hill, or what if somebody gets injured? Okay, Dallas Keuchel now. You got to have somebody to do it. And so whether it's that they're going to, or at least we're signing these guys to give us veteran presences on the mound. If we do get to the point of we're moving on from Lugo and maybe Lorenzen, and we still want to go out there and put competitive games together with guys that have been there and done it before, and if that's Rich Hill and Dallas Keuchel, then that's what we're going to go with until maybe Marsh or Kyle Wright are healthy. That's my theory on the
I don't mind that
Rich
plan.
Hill, Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, and then I mean, look, it's it was JJ was talking the other day about like, people think in this situation you got to win 7 in a row or you're going to be a seller. He's like, no, you have to win 7 in a row. But I thought at that time like 7 in a row would be fine. You can go win 7 in a row. Especially some of these games coming up. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And then see where you're at. It's comforting to look at the standings and like how the Royals have seemingly been playing and how poorly they've been playing. And like, wait, they're only in 3rd in the Central. They're on 2nd. And so all these other teams are going through similar issues, and it's just this great big jumbled mess, bottleneck in the middle of the American League. And so that's the best sign for the Royals. That's the biggest silver lining I think for them right now.
Mick Schaefer hanging out with us there in KC. We're here at the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe, presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. You know what? Let's play a little Rotten Tomatoes. I know my theme that I'll be playing with Rotten Tomatoes, and we'll see what the rest of us decide to do. So Rotten Tomatoes coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, the Drake, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us on this Wednesday edition. Our coverage here at the American Century Championship presented by the Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. A couple more segments here in the 1 o'clock hour with Mick Schaefer. We turn it over to the program who was down in Dallas, and they'll be talking to a lot of different people there. And KU Day today with the KU Jayhawks at Big 12 Media Day with other schools as well. But K-State went yesterday, KU today, so we'll hear that coming up in the program
Oklahoma State Day.
with Soren Petro. What's that?
Wait, it's Oklahoma State
It's
Day.
well, let's hear from their quarterback.
They were perfect last year.
Oh,
yeah. They didn't.
Well, I
they
think
didn't
Soren's going to have their.
Oh wait, no, they didn't win a game.
Yeah, I think Soren's going to have their quarterback on. That's at Big 12 Media Day.
Oh, he is.
Is it just
today.
Mick Schaefer?
Yeah, he's going to have the. No, Oklahoma State didn't take a quarterback to Big 12 Media Days this year.
Oh, that's right, they didn't.
They're one of like 3 schools that did not take a
They're
quarterback.
like one of only a couple schools that doesn't return their quarterback from last year.
Yeah, right, yes. Colorado's taken 2 quarterbacks, by the way. So Colorado's like, you know what, Gundy, I got this.
We got this.
They're somehow both.
Prime's like, it's all good.
Somehow both Deion Sanders' kids.
They are.
Somehow
yes.
both.
It's
Well,
everybody on his team is one of his kids.
Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
Well, and then Oklahoma State's quarterback is Zane Flores. It looks like Flores, but it's pronounced Flores.
Okay. All right, now I know. I'm not going to pronounce it Flores,
Flores.
because you told me not to. If I talk to him and I say it's Zane Flores, and he's like, it's Flores, actually.
Yeah, their program is
all right,
on the Flores.
Yeah. We were at the Super Bowl, and Kayvon Thibodeau was coming around and doing the interviews, and I had always pronounced his name Kayvon Thibodeau because, that's how you pronounce his name. And the guys that he was going around with, as he was getting ready to sit down, they sat a sheet of paper in front of me that spelled it out Kay-VIN, Thibodeau, and then put an underline under that. And so I said, okay, we're here with Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm like, wow, I've been pronouncing it wrong. And he goes, man, I appreciate being on the show. It's Kayvon, though. It's Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm like, you mother. I'm like, I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's it. Oh,
Did you rat him out?
Like, well, yeah, I showed him the piece of paper. I was like, well, I've always thought it was Kayvon, but that's right there. But, Kayvon Thibodeau is here. I'm like, you tell those doofuses, that's how you pronounce his name. So it's Flores. Good to know. Mick Schaefer is with us. Who's going to be playing Rotten Tomatoes with us today since Dylan is out?
Sterling, Jason, Mick, Keystone Light, the intern.
Yeah.
Okay, Keystone is in.
I asked Drake, and Drake goes, I'm good.
Okay, great. Well, if he's good, I don't want him playing.
I thought
is he
that
good
was the
like
Jason you were
Kadarius
talking
Toney?
about. I thought Drake.
Is he good like Kadarius Toney?
I'm good.
Drake, do you want to play it? I'm good. Have you played Rotten Tomatoes before? I'm good. I'm going to take that as a no. Keystone, you're in. All right, so how we play, we give out a movie, and the other 3 folks have to guess how close or get as close as they can percentage-wise to the critics and the tomato score and the fans and the popcorn meter. And then we make fun of everybody along the way, or we don't. We'll find out. Who wants to go first here?
Mick does.
Oh, me, apparently.
All right.
So my wife.
What's the order going to be?
Myself, and then Sterling, and then Keystone, and then you, Jason. How about that?
Okay. I'm after Keystone. Good to know.
I have a theme. My wife has a birthday this week. I'm not going to say which one, but my first movie is 50 First Dates.
You have more than one wife?
Yeah, I'm not going to say which wife has a birthday. Golly. Oh, I have one wife, 5 or 6 girlfriends. All right. 50 First Dates.
Well, we don't know what birthday it is.
2004.
50 First Dates.
If Sterling gets this, he will be kicked out of the game forever because I told him this in the break, and I guarantee you looked it up.
I did not look it up. You can check the history. I'll do it.
No,
you can have my laptop and check it.
Incognito window.
Don't have it. Don't even know how that works.
Everybody has it.
Well, I don't know how it works. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not some computer whiz.
He just does the query search history.
I will say 42%.
Wow, Keystone knew all about it.
42%.
Keystone, I was in college. All right, Keystone.
56.
I'm going to say 59.
42 takes it. It was 45%. He looked and he decided to get close to it.
Wow, that
and
would
not
have
right
been
on the dot.
Brutal. Nice.
It's a good point.
Stu with one.
He decided to leave it open for
Yes.
somebody to get it right on the dot.
Yes.
But he went so low that it's just sort of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go not just by 3 there. Yeah. Smart. Yeah, he's got a strategic way about him. All right, we'll start with you then, Keystone, with the popcorn. What do the fans think of 50 first dates?
51%.
Jason.
Oh, okay. 61%.
48%.
65 wins it. Jason takes it.
Yes.
It does get played all the time on TV for some reason.
does.
It is
It
one of
does.
those movies that was perpetually on as a kid.
Yeah.
Not as a kid, but like a
kid?
semi-adult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's inconceivable how often that was on. All right, so now we head to Sterling, your first movie
Oh, okay.
that you ever watched.
This is actually one of the first movies I ever watched. That was actually one of my themes. An American Tale, Feifel Goes West.
Yes. Philly Moskowitz.
Feifel. You probably know this, Jason.
Philly
'cause
Moskowitz.
you probably watched it with your kid because, that's about the age. But I love this movie growing up as a child. Feifel and family continue their pursuit of the American dream by heading west. Feifel wants to be a lawman, and his sister wants to make it as a dance hall singer. VHS had this till it broke. All right. I'm assuming Keystone the Internet has no idea what we're even talking about. So it was a kid's movie. What do you think the critics said?
I'm pretty sure it's like my mom's favorite movie, so I have no idea, but I'm going 72%.
There are no cats in America, and the streets are made of cheese.
And he watches the movie. He
Remember that
remembers
song?
every line.
Everything.
There are
Yeah.
no cats in America, so set your mind at ease. Because they were mice. They didn't were cats. I'm gonna go 87.
What'd you say?
72.
I'll say 69.
Well, Mick wins 59%.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Whoa,
I'm-
that is stupid.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I was pissed. When I saw that, I was pissed.
I'm upset for you guys.
It was a
Oh
sequel.
my goodness, man.
Well, it's the one I watched. I don't
What
know.
was the first one?
Yeah.
Feifel goes
East?
to the end zone.
An American Tale.
All right, we will go to Mick now. What do you think the fans said about
I believe that's
Feifel Goes West?
Jason first, right?
Jason first.
Yeah, it's me first. I'm gonna say that the fans thought it was like 72%.
69 again.
75.
Mick wins 62.
That movie just sucked all around. I haven't seen it, but I can tell.
No,
from
that
Jason
movie
singing,
slaps.
Those,
yeah,
those
Jason makes
lines,
it sound
come
bad.
on,
Yeah,
gosh.
Jason makes it sound way worse than it is. I
Of course,
promise
there's
you it's
cats
good.
in America. That's why it got
That
so
was
low. Everybody
that was
knew.
pitch perfect, by the way, guys. I nailed that. All right.
No, that's
not
my next.
fault.
That's my next movie. Is Pitch Perfect.
What are the odds of that?
Keystone.
Keystone, your first movie.
In a last-ditch effort to save his career, sports agent J.B. Bernstein plans to find baseball's next star pitcher. He heads to India to find a cricket player whom he can nurture into a major league star with the help of a scout. JB finds Dinesh and Runki, who haven't...
You don't have to read every word.
Yeah,
I don't want
okay.
to.
It's $1 Million Arm.
Yeah.
I was going to butcher about 6 more names in there, so...
That's fine. Just being a part of the show. I'll go first with that one. The critics thought this was like a good old 51.
$1 Million Baby, huh? I know it's different. Matt's
$1 million
maybe is
arm.
next.
You got $1 million arm, but you got a 10-cent head.
You said 51? I will go 65.
Oh, you son
Nope.
of a gun.
Right there, 65.
Let's go!
Wow.
Why'd you say that? Do you know it?
No.
You knew. You said, "Oh, you son of a gun!"
So
Like
mad you.
knew
Thank you,
it.
Mick, for going 65.
Like you knew. You knew it.
How-
You've
no,
been
'cause
cheating
I-
this whole time.
How would I have known?
Well, why'd you say that? You
Yeah.
looked it
I've
up. That's
never
easy.
even heard
That's
of the
the
movie
question.
before.
Well,
Hey,
you
it's
had
a good
like 30
movie.
seconds to look it up real quick.
Do you see my hands typing? You're
I'm not-
looking
I
at me
don't
the
look
whole
at
time.
you because every time I look at you, you try to make eye contact and you do this thing with your mouth, and I don't like it.
What?
Okay. Interesting.
So I get 2.
Yeah.
You now
Yes,
have
two. You got
4
4.
points. 1 to 4,
Four to
1 to
one
0.
to
Why did
one.
you say? Why did you say that?
I was gonna go because in between
You were
Jason
gonna
was
go-
like 51 and 65. I go, well, I'm in no man's land of I don't know where I'm gonna
sure,
go,
okay, yeah.
and you nailed it.
I do recommend this movie, by the way. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's a baseball movie. It's actually
he hasn't seen
it's
any
actually
movies.
Yeah, I'm not really a movie guy.
Yeah, he doesn't watch movies.
Although most
Although most
my-
movies he brings up, I haven't seen.
Yeah, this was my invention too, my baby.
It was.
Mick, you'll go first on the popcorn meter.
On that one, and I will go 68%.
Oh my gosh!
Seriously?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What?
Mick's
Let's
looked it
go.
up. Mick's been looking this
go.
up.
He's trying to divert the cheating to
makes
Sterling.
Yes,
himself
the
$1 million
cheating allegation.
I'm at like 5 by now, right?
Congrats, Sammy Sosa,
6.
allegedly.
6.
That's 6.
6 to 1 to 1.
Golly.
6 to 1 to 1. It's
a
an
new record
interesting
here.
start there. For,
All right, Jason, we're going to have to hustle through these movies, I think.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. My theme is going to be pretty obvious with our guest earlier today. Longtime LAPD partners and friends Brian Taylor, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Mike Zavala, Michael Pena, patrol one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Los Angeles. It is End of Watch. Movie came out in 2012. What we heard Michael Pena say, the last movie he had to audition for was End of Watch. He hasn't had an audition since landing that role.
Good for him.
We start with Mick Schaefer with the critics
I never
on
saw
End of Watch.
They're
It's a
gonna,
good one.
but they're gonna go 71%.
I will go 81%.
77%.
I mean, it was right there for you, Keystone. It was right there for you, 84%. So that's going to Sterling. Keystone, if you win 84, you hit it right on the button.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. So Sterling got the point there on that one. So it's all shaded over here now. Oh, sorry. No. The Miz is walking. By the way, the Miz, somebody had a question. Does anybody just yell ZOU to you? Yeah, like MIZZOU from Mizzou. Nope, doesn't happen. So now we know. There's the answer to that one. That's the burning question everybody wanted to know.
We'll just let him know that it's going to happen now. It's going to happen.
I think we're going to talk to him tomorrow. I think we're going to have a conversation with the Miz tomorrow. We'll find out. So that goes to Sterling now. Sterling has 2 points. Keystone let that one slip away. He could have had 2 points right there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, on to the popcorn meter. So the fans, we start with Sterling, right? Sterling, what do you think of what do you think the fans thought?
88%.
84 for the critics.
88.
Okay.
91.
I'll go 85.
Mick,
Yeah.
86.
Oh,
86. 84 and 86.
Kick in the
So Mick Schaefer
stones.
got the point. 84 and 86 for End of Watch was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. All right, second movie now for Mick Schaefer.
Yeah,
Correct?
again, it's my wife's birthday. I'm not saying what age she's going to be. My second movie is 50 Shades of Grey, though. Sterling.
Tomato?
I think the critics probably liked this movie. I feel like this is the first one we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they would have thought it was edgy.
Anastasia Steele. Dakota Johnson.
73%.
Christian Grey.
73.
I'm going 76. I feel like it's won some awards.
79.
Nobody gets anything. 25.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's so
25.
awesome. It was either going to be like in the 80s or like in
Yeah,
the
there was no
teens.
between. They were
God.
either going to find it edgy and fun or this is smut. And they found it smut.
Wasn't it like a cult classic or something? I like
It was.
It was like a cult classic
Just
or
not the
something,
critics'
you know,
cult.
but apparently not. Now Keystone leads off with the fans. Popcorn.
I don't even know where to go. I feel like I'm just going to do a 50%.
Okay.
Okay. 40%.
60%.
Jason wins with 41%.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
That's probably 2 low scores. I thought, yeah. At least the fans.
I thought
like that
fans
more,
would have
yeah.
been
7.
into it.
Yeah.
7 to 2 to 2. Mick Schaefer is leading.
Sounds like
Keystone,
no one was
no
into
points
it.
Yet. That's right. Sterling, let's speed it up here. That was your advice earlier. So what's your second movie?
Yeah, it's another kids movie because my theme was movies I liked as a child.
You love kids.
Trick a lot of kids. Go.
Tom and Jerry.
What's the movie?
Tom and Jerry the movie.
God dang. What are we doing? They made a movie?
This is the first one. This is
They made more than one movie?
Multiple. This is
Keystone.
1992's
What did
movie.
What did the critics? What did the critics think of Tom and Jerry the movie?
27%.
What year was this?
27.
92.
I think
92.
it's 48.
I'll go
Oh,
first.
shoot,
I'll
shoot.
go.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You go 48. So you go there. I'm going to go 54.
Who went the lowest?
27.
Yeah, 14%.
Oh, wow.
I'm on the board.
Keystone on the board.
Got it. Keystone.
All right,
on
Jason,
the
you're
board.
up.
But was
There
it
you go.
a cult
I'm gonna-
classic?
For fans.
6%.
It's got to be higher. I'm going.
know.
I'm
Who
going.
cares?
I'm going 20.
I'll go 3%.
Mick barely gets it. 41.
Oh,
I wasn't lying. A
Oh,
semi-fan
wow.
favorite.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How about
That's
that?
a-
You would have, Mick, that would have been right up your alley. You should have.
Yeah,
You should
it's
guess
on
41
41.
more often. Yeah, that's right. It's the mic, I've heard. All right, so a couple movies to go. Keystone, your final movie.
All right, never even heard of this movie. Just
good.
wanted a good theme here.
Goodwill Hunting.
No, it goes with the theme because the Wimbledon's going on. I found that there's a movie called Wimbledon.
Oh, wow.
I don't really know. It's
Okay, I go first.
Yeah,
with
you go
the,
and figure it out.
Critics, I'll say 11%.
25%.
42%.
No idea.
Sterling gets it 60%.
Hey, let's go.
Critics.
Big,
Never
I'm
even
a
heard of
huge
the
fan
movie.
of this movie, Wimbledon. Huge.
Oh my God.
I pronounce it.
Mick, you lead us off with the popcorn.
Popcorn is going to be 30%.
62%.
45.
57. Sterling gets it again.
Boom.
Oh, yeah, barely. All right, my last movie is, let's see, it's Irving Rosenfield, played by Christian Bale, dabbles in forgery and loan sharking, but when he falls for fellow grifter Sidney Prosser, Amy Adams, things change in a big way. Caught red-handed, Bradley Cooper, and then there's also Jennifer Lawrence and Jeremy Renner and Michael Pena. It's American Hustle, folks, American Hustle, and we start with you, Mick Schaefer.
Good movie. 78%.
83%.
86.
That would be Keystone. It's 92%. With the critics, 92 for the critics and the fans. All right, last chance, Sterling. What did the popcorn say?
They're lockstep. 92%.
95.
89.
Mick Schaefer, 74 with the fans.
High score.
74.
High score.
9 points for
That's a
Mick
niner
Schaefer.
right
I think
there.
that's high score.
Probably.
I think that's.
It
I
beats
think
all of
he broke it.
Sterling's.
We can't play
Well,
anymore.
according to
It's all
Jason's method,
Sterling.
I got 4 points, so I still won because I didn't
right.
get last, so I also won.
Congratulations.
Well, if you're not first, you're
Well,
last.
there you
though.
go.
Well, that's what I say, but
That's what they all say.
not what Jason says.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we will do the last segment of the show here on a Wednesday. More Zone next.